Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to see what if Naruto accidentally sucks Tsunade'S to 106 devil fruit. So let's begin. Groundbreaking Surgeon by Cyberchrome. 12-year-old Naruto Uzumaki sat on the swing in front of the academy. He watched as the academy let out and everyone else was being congratulated by their parents. He sat there as they had a great time while he was having one of the worst of his life. He had failed the academy test for third time. Hey Naruto. He heard a voice from behind him and turned to see a white-haired man wearing a green Chunin vest and a bandana over his head with his forehead protector on the front. You want to know of a secret test? Mizuki said with a sly smile. Naruto was now in the forest where he would meet up with Mizuki. Mizuki had told him that if he could steal the scroll of sealing and learn one technique off of it, he would be able to become a ninja. He had been training hard on the shadow clone jutsu and had finally gotten it down. Now he was looking through the scroll to see if he could learn something else for extra credit. Wait, what is this? He saw his name written in the scroll and some writing below it. Push some chakra into the writing. He heard a deep voice say in annoyance. He looked around startled but did it nonetheless. He put his hand to the seal and out popped a scroll. What is this for and why is it addressed to me? Naruto pondered. He heard shuffling in the bushes and quickly stuffed the smaller scroll in his jacket and turned towards the noise, and he saw Irika come out with a stern expression on his face. Huh, I found you, Irika-sensei. Naruto yelled as he pointed towards Irika. Irika grew a tick mark. I found you, idiot. Why did you take the scroll, Naruto? Mizuki-sensei said that it was a special test. If I could learn a jutsu off of this scroll, then I could graduate the academy. Naruto said with a smile. Irika looked around, saw the damaged area. You've been training hard, Naruto. He thought. He heard someone land on a tree to his right and saw Mizuki standing there with a smirk. He could this was going to end bad. Naruto had to return the scroll to the Thrid and apologize for stealing it in the first place. After getting some ramen with Irika to congratulate him on becoming a ninja, Naruto went to his rundown apartment. He went in disregarding the graffiti on his door. The door swung open slowly with a loud creak. I'm home, he said sadly as he knew no one would answer back. He walked into the apartment and shut the door. He bypassed his living area and kitchen, which were combined, and went to his bedroom. He took off the jacket of his jumpsuit and took out the scroll. He placed it on the ground in front of him as he sat down. He tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. He grew frustrated. Gah, how am I supposed to open this thing? He shouted to himself. TCH, bite your thumb and swipe some blood on the seal. The same deep voice boomed. This time Naruto could hear the annoyance in its voice. Where are you? He asked as he looked around. I am within you, Ninjin. Naruto's eyes widened before his surroundings became black, and he was sitting in front of a giant gate, and he was sitting in water. Why am I in a sewer? He mentally asked. This is your mind, Ninjin. He heard the voice again from behind the bars, and he saw two giant blood-red eyes with slits down the middle. He instantly started to crawl back away when he saw 9 tails waving behind the being lazily. KQB. He stuttered out. The fox grinned, showing its massive fangs. Yes, it is I, the great Kyubi no Yoko. The fox declared while standing to his full size, making Naruto back away in fear again. Fear not, boy. As much as I want to be free, I cannot because of this accursed seal. He motioned to the piece of paper on the gate. That single piece of paper is keeping you at bay, Naruto asked in astonishment. The Kyubi nodded. Naruto grew confused. Why did you help me back with Mizuki and getting this scroll of the scroll of seals? About time you stopped acting stupid, kid. To answer your questions, I am sealed inside of you, and if you were seen as weak, then I am by association. I am the strongest tailed beast. I won't be seen as weak. The second answer is I know what is in the scroll, and seeing as you have little to no skill right now, he ignored Naruto's squawk of indignation. I thought they could give you a boost. What do you mean they? Naruto asked after getting over the fact the fox knew about his mask of stupidity and his jab at his skills. I mean, there are 2 fruits sealed into that scroll. They give dash. What's so important about 2 stupid fruit? Naruto asked. The Kyubi grew irritated. Shut up. I was getting to that. Naruto put his hands up in surrender. Ahem, as I was saying. The fruit give a special power when eaten, much like those Kekkei Genkai of the Hyuga and Uchiha. So you're saying I'll get those freaky eyes? Naruto said, and the fox facepalmed. No, I am saying that powers the fruits give you will be exclusive to yourself. Naruto gained a look of understanding but looked at the fox with a curious expression. Why are you helping me? Aren't you supposed to be evil? The fox sighed. I have seen your life, kid. It's partially my fault for why your life is the way it is. I wanted to help you out a little. He answered truthfully. Naruto stood up and bowed towards the fox. Thank you, he said, surprising the fox. Whatever, Ninjan. As payment for my help, could you tear off a corner of the seal? This will allow me to see out in the world through your eyes. It get really boring in here. The fox explained as it laid down and rested his head on his arms. Naruto nodded and tore off a part of the seal, and he felt a pull, and he was back in his room. He looked to the scroll and bit his thumb and swiped some blood on the seal. The seal glowed and then died down. He unrolled the scroll and saw it was a letter with another seal at the bottom. Dear Naruto, I am truly sorry for choosing you to contain such a beast as the Kyuubi. I simply didn't have any other choice. Could you ask another family to sacrifice their child when you couldn't do the same? After your birth, there was a masked man that kidnapped your mother, Kushina Uzumaki. She was the container for the Kyuubi at the time, and he stole it from her in her weakened state. Long story short, I defeated the man, but I couldn't kill the Kyuubi, so I sealed half of it into my son using a forbidden sealing technique that kills the user. The Kyuubi didn't want to be sealed again, so it tried to kill you, but your mother and I jumped in the way to protect you, and I finished the sealing as we passed away. I'm sorry. I asked them to see you as a hero, but I think they will see you as the demon reincarnate. Your life has been tough, I'm guessing. I'm leaving you these fruit along with some justu and sealing theories. These fruit contain great power. Naruto. Please use them for good. They were kept with the Uzumaki clan until their destruction and passed to your mother. I had a lot of enemies, Naruto. So please keep your heritage a secret until you know you can protect yourself. Your mother and I love you even if you hate us. Your father, Minato Namake's fourth Hokage. By the time Naruto was done reading, he had tears coming down his whiskered cheeks. My dad was the one to seal the Kyuubi into me. He was feeling a range of conflicting emotions. Pride and happiness at knowing he was loved and had parents that were great shinobi. Well, one of them at least he didn't know about, his mom. He felt anger at his dad about sealing the fox into him, and sadness knowing he'll never get to see his family. Kid, they loved you a lot. Enough to jump in the way of my claw when I was trying to sort of kill you. The fox said in his mind. The fox coughed. Sorry about that. By the way, I was mad and didn't want to be sealed again. Naruto didn't say anything, but just nodded. He channeled chakra into the seal at the bottom of the letter. Out came two weird-looking fruit, some scrolls with the 5 elements written on them and a scroll with sealing written on it. He picked up the fruit and looked at the both. The one in his right hand looked like a red heart and had some weird swirl on it. The one in his left hand was spherical and yellow with the same swirls as the other fruit. Naruto. The fourth was right when he said these were very powerful. They are called devil fruits and grant unimaginable power, but comes at a cost. You can never swim again, and water will make you weaker and unable to use the powers granted to you by these fruits. The Kyuubi explained. The one on the right is called the Ope Ope no Mi. It allows you to create a room around you in which you control everything. It was considered a great use for doctors, as you could cut a person open without them feeling pain. The one on the left is even better. That fruit has the power to destroy the world. Naruto's eyes widened at this statement. How? The fox gave a fanged smile. This is called the Gura Gura no Mi. You could literally create earthquakes, as well as beef up your physical strength. There has to be some drawback to this. Naruto said. Yes. Both of these take up a huge amount of stamina and the no swimming thing. But they say if you eat 2 devil fruit, then you die. Lucky for you, I'm sealed in you, and I don't feel like dying today, so I can keep you alive. Naruto pondered it and looked down at the fruits and nodded. He ate the Ope Ope first and noticed that it tasted like garbage. After keeping his dinner in his stomach, went to eat the Gura Gura, and it had a similarly bad taste. He felt a burning all over his body and fell to the floor holding his stomach. Don't worry, I'm trying to stop the effects of you. How did you know so much about these fruits? Naruto asked through the pain. I've been around a long time, kid. I was sealed in your mother, and she had read a letter about these fruit before you were born. There should be more information that I don't know at Land of Whirlpools, the former home of the Uzumaki clan. The fox said as he finished. Naruto felt exhausted and fell down onto the floor and passed out. Sleep well, kid. Next day, Naruto woke up with a groan as he got up and cracked his back. Last time I sleep on the floor, he muttered to himself. He went into the bathroom and started to brush his teeth. He looked at himself in the mirror and saw that his usually malnourished body was replaced with a nice layer of muscle. Not too ripped and big, but not thin and wiry. He was confused on why there was such a change, though. I can explain. Yesterday, after you ate both fruits, your body was breaking down, so I had to work to make sure you didn't die. Your muscles kept breaking down, so every time I rebuild them, they came back with more and more. The QB explained. Naruto expressed his thanks and went to his closet. He frowned when he saw all he had was orange jumpsuits. Those things are really an eyesore. Hey, they were all the stores would sell me. He defended. This is not how a shinobi should dress. I need to buy more clothes. I also need to train in these new powers. Preferably somewhere out of sight. Naruto said as he left his apartment with the scroll, after he sealed everything back into it. Naruto went to a training ground that had 3 stumps in the middle, a river, and a monument behind the stumps. Naruto, that jutsu you learned yesterday is very useful. When that clone dispels, the information it learned is transferred back to the user. So I could learn things in half the time, he said as he gained a grin and made a familiar cross. Shadow clone Justa, he said as 250 clones poofed into existence. Okay, I want 30 each working on one element that Tsunade'S left us. 50 of you work on the basics of sealing, because from what I heard it is very difficult, so be very careful. And then the other 50 work on those fruit powers. I think I have the techniques in my mind, but I'm not sure, so prove my theory. Now go, he commanded. Hi, boss. They saluted and went off into their groups. Naruto went to a shinobi store. He needed equipment if he was going to succeed in being a ninja. He had a week before he met his team. Please review. Bell test. Naruto woke up groggily to a blaring alarm clock. He rolled over and slammed his hand on the top of it. He sighed when the alarm stopped, and he sat up on his bed. It's time to meet my team and for everyone else to the new and slightly improved Naruto, he said as he hopped out of bed and went to his closet. He picked out a fishnet shirt that had no sleeves and an orange-trimmed black hoodie with the Uzumaki swirl displayed on the back. He put on some black pants and taped them around his ankles. He strapped on his kunai pouch around his right thigh, and then he put on some black ninja sandals and was out the door. He stopped by the training ground, which he had come to learn the name is Training Ground 3. He created 200 clones and nodded to them as they got to work. He had learned after the first day that his basics needed touching up as they weren't up to par. Instead of focusing his training in the elemental exercises, he had only 25 clones focus on that. While most of the clones focused on the Academy Taijutsu, Shuriken Jutsu, and the 3 Academy Jutsus. The real Naruto and 15 more clones worked on his new powers. He could create a room that went to 20 meters in diameter. He tested the QB's theory about being able to cut without damage him by attacking a clone. The clone never dispersed even after Naruto had cut through an arm or a leg. He also learned that while inside the room, he could switch places with anything much like a substitution, but much faster, and it didn't drain chakra. His other powers were harder to test, but easier to use. All he had to was Essential Strike anywhere while channeling the power of the fruit, and big things would happen. He destroyed the training ground and half of his clone army when he struck the air on accident. He was confused when he saw a glowing blue crack in the air, but soon grew panicked as the ground started to shake. Soon enough, the whole ground was torn up and the clones on it were dispelled. Naruto was knocked out by the all-memory feedback in such a short time, but got up quick enough to make an escape before anyone found out. He found out he could channel the Gura's power into a blade as well when sitting at home studying his sealing. He had a kunai in hand and channeled his power into it and saw a glowing white sphere surrounding the blade of the kunai. He then took out a shuriken and did the same, and the shuriken became a glowing sphere of white energy. He didn't see the practically of an earthquake shuriken because he couldn't throw it like he needed to. Naruto arrived at the classroom and opened the door, and everyone just ignored him until Shikamaru noticed him. "Naruto, what are you doing here?" he asked. Naruto smirked and pointed his thumb to his forehead protector. "I graduated," he said. Shikamaru just shrugged and put his head, muttering about troublesome blondes. Naruto walked over and took a seat by Sasuke Uchiha, the Rookie of the Year. He either didn't notice him sit down or didn't care. Naruto pulled out a scroll on ceiling and started to study it. He had to look up when he heard something from his right and saw pink hair. Sakura Haruno, Kunoichi of the Year, if he wasn't mistaken. He noticed her mouth moving and decided to pay attention. Did you say something?" he said. Sakura's eyebrow twitched. "I said I want to sit by Sasuke-kun." "Move it," she screeched. Naruto took a thinking pose. No," he said simply. Sakura looked livid. "Naruto," she said as she swung her fist to strike him in the head. Naruto caught her punch to everyone's shock. "You should really get your temper in check, Haruno," he said in a nonchalant tone. He squeezed her fist and made her wince. The door opened and Irika came in with a couple of bandages here and there. He looked up and saw Sakura holding her hand with tears at the edge of her eyes and glaring daggers at Naruto. Weird, he thought. "Okay, class, today you are officially shinobi, and I won't be your instructor. I will give you your team assignments. Your senseis should be here within the hour to pick you up. So Team 1. Every team is the same, but Sensei, I want to be on a team with Sasuke-kun. Why does Forehead get to be on his team?" Ino whined. "If you have a problem with your team placement, then take it up with the third." Ino promptly sat down and slumped her shoulders, defeated. "Good. Now if no one else has anything to say, your senseis will be here to pick you up later. I hope you the best in your ninja careers," Irika said as he left the room. 2 hours later, every other team had left except the members of Team 7. Sasuke and Sakura were very annoyed at their sensei's tardiness. Naruto was indifferent about it as he was trying to work on increasing his room size and how long he could keep it up until he got tired. He created a room, but kept it as small as he could so that it, wrapped around his hand, he could maintain room like this and increase his control. He slowly made it grow to its full size and back a couple times. He then tried to break the limit he set on the diameter of his room and tried to go for 30 meters. His breath became labored as he struggled to push past the 25-meter mark. Finally, he relented and stopped and started to intake some air. "I can only get to 25 meters. Better than 20, but I'll wait and see if the clones made any progress," he thought. Soon, the door slid open and they saw a man wearing a standard Konoha Jounin attire with a black face mask. He had white gravity-defying hair and his headband tilted over his left eye. His right eye was half-lidded and lazily looking them over. "My first impression of you is you're boring. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes," he said as he closed the door and walked away. On the roof, Kakashi looked over his team. The girl looks like she would be useless in the field. Staring at Sasuke like she is probably means she's a fangirl. How was she Kunoichi of the Year? He mentally asked himself. He turned his gaze to Naruto. That's strange. He changed his looks and got rid of the orange. Mostly, he looked surprisingly calm and serious. A far cry from how he was just a couple weeks ago. This is the dead last, supposedly. He switched his sights to the last member of his team, the last. Uchiha, Rookie of the Year and hailed as a prodigy among prodigies. I don't think I would go that far. Not better than Itachi or myself. I will keep you line going, Obito. So, how about we introduce ourselves? Your names, like dislikes, hobbies, and dreams for the future. That kind of thing, he said. Sakura raised her hand. How about you go first, sensei? Give us an example, she said. Naruto gave her a side glance and sweat dropped. How hard was that to understand? He mentally asked. Kakashi sighed. Fine. I'll go first. My name is Kakashi Hitaki. I like some things, I dislike some things, I have hobbies and dreams for the future. All the genin promptly sweat dropped. All we got was his name. Okay, turn pinky. He finished as he pointed towards Sakura. Sakura's eyebrow twitched at the name. My name is Sakura Haruno. I like. She steals a look at Sasuke and squeals. My hobbies are. She steals another look at Sasuke and squeals again. My dream is. She looks to Sasuke with a blush on her face and squeals again. What a fangirl. I can't believe I used to like her. Naruto mentally shook his head. Now you, Whiskers. Kakashi pointed to Naruto. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen, training, and helping people in need. I dislike the 3 minutes it takes to make ramen, people who judge before getting to know someone, and when I can't figure something out. My dream is to become Hokage one day. Naruto said. Kakashi nodded. All right. You dark and brooding. He got a glare from the boy. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I don't like a lot of things, and I hate a lot of things. My dream, no, more like my ambition, is to kill a certain man. He said darkly towards the end. Kakashi nodded. So much hatred for Itachi. I hope I can steer him from this path. He turned his sight on his blonde student. And what happened to you? You're not that hyperactive ball of sunshine I used to watch over. Okay, now that introductions are out of the way, let's get to the real graduation test. Sakura raised her hand. But sensei, we passed the graduation test. Kakashi I smiled. That was to see if you have capability to be ninja. Basically to weed out the cannon fodder. This is the real test, but there's only a 66% chance of passing. He said as the genin's eyes widened a bit. Well, meet me at Training Ground 3 tomorrow at 6 in the morning. Oh, don't eat breakfast or you'll throw up. Johnny, he said as he disappeared in a poof of smoke. Naruto stood up and walked away. He needed to check the progress of his clones. Naruto got to the training ground with a headache, and he knew why. When he arrived, he saw the training ground was in shambles again and saw a clone rubbing its head sheepishly with a grin. Naruto sighed and dispelled all the remaining clones, which further increased his headache. Damn. Didn't think that there were that many left, he said as he held his throbbing head. He immediately slapped his forehead as he went through the clone's memories. The clone didn't have access to the devil fruit powers, and they figured it out before he did. They just sat around all day. Lazy bastards. Ugh, I need some sleep. And he walked off grumbling about stupid memory backlash and lazy-ass clones. Next morning, Naruto walked to the training ground and saw Sakura fawning over Sasuke and Sasuke trying his best to ignore her. Naruto just jumped up to a tree above them and started to work on his room. 3 hours later, Kakashi had finally shown up with a backpack on. Sakura and Sasuke stood up and walked to him with annoyed expressions. You're late. Sakura shrieked. Kakashi just eye-smiled. Sorry, I got lost on the road of life. Both genin in front of him sweat dropped. What a terrible lie. They both thought. Where is Naruto? Kakashi asked as he lazily gazed upon them. I'm right here, sensei. Naruto said as he jumped down from the tree branch he was on and landed next to Sakura. I didn't even sense him. Kakashi thought. How did the dough get the drop on me? Must have been a fluke. Sasuke thought as he mentally nodded with his conclusion. Naruto Baka. Stop trying to be cool like Sasuke-kun. The pink head of the group shrieked, making everyone wince. Naruto just ignored her, which made her angry, and she went to strike him over the head, but was stopped again when her grabbed her fist again. Do you not remember what happened yesterday? Haruno? I can break your hand to make you remember from now on. He said in a chilling voice, but he had a smile on his face. Sakura quickly shook her head and Naruto nodded. Good. He said as he released her fist, and she quickly hid on the other side Sasuke. Kakashi clapped his hands. Okay, now that we have everyone here, let's get started. Kakashi took off the backpack and pulled out a pair of silver bells. Your test is to take these 2 bells from me, he said as he tied the bells to his pants waist. Sakura raised her, and Kakashi nodded towards her. Sensei, there are only 2 bells. Kakashi, I smiled again. Very observant, Sakura. Yes, there are only 2 bells, which means one of you are going back to the academy. The Cyclops said as their eyes widened, but Naruto's narrowed slightly afterwards. Something isn't right. The person who doesn't get a bell also gets to watch the other 2 eat these 2 bentos I brought while tied up to that post. Everyone's stomach abruptly growled. This bastard came late on purpose and made us not eat breakfast. I told you to eat, but no. The fox in his gut said. Naruto just mentally ignored the fox. Kakashi then pulled out a clock and set the time. You have until noon to get one of the bells. You were late, yet you brought a clock. Naruto deadpanned. Kakashi looked sheepish and rubbed his head. He cleared his throat and got as serious as he could be against 3 genin. Not very. Remember, come at me with the intent to kill, or you won't be able to get a bell. The test starts now. As he finished, Sasuke and Sakura jumped away and hid while Naruto just stood there. Kakashi pulled an orange book and started to read. You're not very bright, are you? Quite the contrary, I know something is wrong with this test. I don't know what, but I'm going to figure it out, Naruto said as he turned around and walked away. That's a first. There's definitely something different about him. He shrugged and put it on the back of his mind. After about 15 minutes, Kakashi sighed and walked off. I guess I better go find them. With Naruto was looking for his teammates when he heard a shrill scream coming from the distance. He must have gotten to Sakura. He continued to walk until he heard sounds of conflict up ahead. He hid behind a tree and peered over and saw Sasuke and Kakashi in the middle of a taijutsu bout. Kakashi was easily outmatching Sasuke, but that was to be expected. He was a jounin. Wait, that's it. There's no way we could beat him one-on-one. We have to work together, he said as it dawned on him. Lesson 2. Ninjutsu. Kakashi said as he watched Sasuke flip through hand seals at a quick pace. Fire release. Great fireball jutsu. Sasuke spit a constant stream of flames towards Kakashi. The flames engulfed him, and Sasuke stopped blowing the flames. Instead of seeing a burnt cyclops, they saw a pile of burnt pieces of wood. Substitution. They both thought as they started to look around for Kakashi. Naruto's eyes widened. I can see the whole field, but I can't see Kakashi. That means he can only be one place. He thought as he took off towards his dark-haired teammate. He's to the right or the left. He's not above me, so that only leaves. Sasuke was thinking before the ground broke apart. Below, he heard someone finish his thought. He looked over and saw Naruto with his fist covered with a white orb, and he struck the ground. The ground broke apart into different chunks, and Sasuke had to jump away so not to be crushed. He landed next to Naruto and looked at his new teammate. Why did you do that? Sasuke asked. I saw what Kakashi was planning. I know you don't know Earth Release, so there wasn't much you could do. So, you were watching the whole time? No, just when you guys were finishing up the taijutsu. Sasuke seemed to accept the answer as he nodded. They looked over to where they heard shifting rocks and saw Kakashi pushing some rubble off of him. He dusted himself off and looked at them with the same lazy eye. What does it take for this guy to get serious? Yelled Naruto. What was that attack? It wasn't a Justu, and I'm sure a kid like him couldn't have that much raw physical strength. He was the dead last, so where did he get that attack? It was almost like Tsunade'S super strength. Kakashi thought in analysis. Sasuke, he said, getting the boys' attention. We need to regroup with Sakura. We can't beat him one-on-one, and we all a much better shot if we work together. Sasuke seemed to think about. Why should I join? I was doing fine on my own. Naruto shook his head. Yes, but he was taking it easy on you. He was about to finish the spar until I came in. Sasuke nodded after thinking more. Okay, lead the way, dope. Just follow me, team. He said as he jumped towards the scream heard earlier with Sasuke in tow. They missed Kakashi, smiling. Seems like they're getting it. He walked after them. Sakura's location. Naruto saw a flash of pink and red and flipped down to the clearing with Sasuke. They walked over to Sakura and Naruto nudged her with his foot. She's under a Jinjutsu. Sasuke said annoyed. Maybe it was a mistake to come get her. Naruto put a hand on her shoulder and flared some chakra, and she woke up slowly. She looked to Naruto and was angry, but grew worried after she remembered what happened. Naruto, our sensei killed Sasuke-kun. He's over there. He deadpanned as he pointed to an annoyed-looking Sasuke. Sakura rushed over and looked at him to check for any injuries. It was a Jinjutsu, Sakura. I'm fine. What do we do now, dope? Well, now we set a trap, he said as he eyed his hand with a blue ring in it. Later, there's only 30 minutes left. Might as well give them a last chance, Kakashi said to himself as he chased Sasuke through the trees. Sasuke landed in the middle of a clearing and stood his ground as Sakura and Naruto joined him at the sides. Oh, working together? You know, only 2 of you can get a bell. The Genin said nothing but went into motion. Naruto and Sasuke ran at Kakashi while Sakura pulled out a kunai. They wanted to overwhelm him with numbers as a shadow clone, or two popped up ever so often, but it wasn't working. They jumped back from the exchange, slightly winded, but Naruto much more so. "It's finished, Kakashi-sensei," Naruto said with a smile. "Is it? I still have the bells," he said as he looked down towards the bells and saw a kunai hanging there. He looked up to see Sakura, jingling the bells in her hand. How? All the genin smirked. "You'll never know, sensei," they said cheekily. Kakashi got himself under control, and I smiled. "Very well, but who will you give the other bell to, Sakura?" he asked. She tore one of the bells off and handed it Sasuke. Sasuke-kun, of course. She answered happily. Kakashi and Naruto sighed. "Then you all fail," he said as Sakura and Sasuke's smile faded and turned to shock. Later, we find Naruto and Sasuke sitting by a tied-up Sakura. "You have failed to find the real reason of the test. I thought you two had it, but apparently not. You guys will get a second chance after lunch. You two are not to feed or anything," he said as he disappeared in a poof of smoke. Naruto looked down at his bento and opened it. He took some in his chopsticks and held it to Sakura's mouth. "Here, eat," he said. But he said not to feed me. "It doesn't matter. The test was about teamwork. We can't work as a team if one of our members is starving." Naruto said. He gestured for her to eat again. Sasuke looked at his bento and decided to follow Naruto's lead and held some food in front of Sakura. "Sasuke does care about me," she mentally squealed. She took from Sasuke's chopsticks. A poof of smoke appeared in front of them and showed Kakashi glaring down at them and pointing at them. "You pass," he said with an eye smile. "What?" Sakura yelled. "Yup." Naruto was right. The lesson was teamwork. I was going to pass you before you decided to be selfish and put you and your desires before you team, Sakura. That is why you were tied to the post. If this was life or death mission, would you trade Naruto's life for Sasuke's?" he asked. Sakura got wide eyes and looked at both of her teammates. She struggled to come up with an answer. "You don't need to answer. The village hidden in the leaves has won all the wars by looking out for their comrades and working together as a team." Kakashi said, "Remember this. Those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash," he said, and he was amused by the looks that crossed faces. "Now that we are an official team, meet me here tomorrow for training, and then we can start missions." "Yone," he said as he disappeared in a poof of smoke. Naruto nodded to Sasuke and Sakura and left the area. Sasuke just turned and left, leaving Sakura in the middle of the training ground tied to the post. "Hey, what about me?" she screeched into the sky. At Naruto's apartment. As soon as Naruto got into his apartment, he fell onto his bed with a groan. "I pushed it with the room today." Flashback. "So what do we do?" Sasuke asked. "I can pull off an advanced substitution jutsu. I'll switch the bells with a kunai that Sakura pulls out of her ouch while Sasuke and I distract Kakashi." Naruto pitched his plan. "Why should I listen to you? Sasuke-kun could come up with something way better." "Right?" Sakura asked, looking to her crush. "How can you do this?" "Advanced jutsu?" Sasuke said, ignoring the girl. "It's basically like using the substitution, but with items. So if I needed a sword on the other side of the battlefield, then I could swap for a kunai." Naruto explained. "Technically not the truth, but close enough. I don't want them knowing about my fruits. I already slipped up using the Gura earlier." "All right, we'll go with your plan, Naruto," Sasuke said. "Good. Let's go." Naruto said. Flashback end. "I try to tell you not to push your room area." The QB said. "I should have listened. I'm not ready for that yet. I need to work my body more. Even with your little boost, the most I can get is 30 meters, and that's pushing it." Naruto said. "Yeah, but for now you need rest. Train more tomorrow." "Hope this was good for you. Please review." Wave mission. It has been a few weeks since Team 7 was officially formed. They had gone on missions throughout the village, and to say they genuinely were disappointed was an understatement. They thought they would be saving princesses and taking down bad guys, not painting fences and clearing farmlands. Worst of all, the villagers kept glaring at Naruto for simply being there. Naruto sighed as they went to the Hokage's office to report for their mission. Capturing the cat, Tora, was not a mission to him. It was just a chore. Naruto thought over how he was progressing. He needed to train himself, as Kakashi obviously wasn't. The most he did was teach them some team-building exercise and then took off to train Sasuke. He thought he was doing pretty well for himself as he got better control over his Earthshaker bloodline, as he has been calling if he had to explain it to anyone. Couldn't tell them he ate a fruit for it. He no longer put too much into his strikes and figure besides causing earthquakes. He could literally shift the earth around him. His room diameter rose to 40 meters over the last couple weeks, and he was feeling less and less drain on his stamina. He was currently trying to learn about the human body. The QB had told him that the fruit was used to perform surgeries and could cure most, if not all, diseases. There were people in the village who couldn't afford to go to the doctors and were suffering in silence. He had the power to help, and he was going to do something about it. He had clones upon clones, studying medical ninjutsu and human anatomy, along with a couple of books on diseases and treatments for such illnesses. While he couldn't perform the medical justu, he still liked to know how it worked and maybe replicate it somehow. He hadn't foregone his shinobi training. He had just toned it down to the basics. He really needed to get those down. He wasn't horrible, but if he could master them, he would be a force to be reckoned with his fruits, and even more so if he had some elemental jutsu. Team 7 arrived with Demon Cat Tora in hand at the Hokage's office. They could have been in better condition. Sasuke had a multitude of scratches on his face and arms. Sakura was the same way, with bruises from diving to catch the cat, but failing and hitting the ground. Naruto and Kakashi were the least injured. Naruto used his room to catch the cat and hit a pressure point in its neck. He had gotten a scratch or two on his hand, but it healed pretty quickly. Kakashi, on the other hand, sat back and watched as they tried to catch the demon in cat form, hence the no injuries. They opened up the door to see an old man in red and white robes with a hat that had the kanji fire on the tip and Iruka-sensei. The elderly man gave off a grandfather-like feeling, but underneath that you could feel the power of a village leader. This was 3rd Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. Team 7 reporting. Mission to capture the Tora the cat was a success. Kakashi said as he looked over his book towards the Hokage. Hiruzen sighed at the gray-haired Jonin's behavior. Good job, Team 7. Let's see. What else do we have for you today? Fence painting, cleaning the Inuzuka kennels, clearing weeds. Naruto started to drown out the Hokage, as he didn't care about these unimportant tasks. Hokage-sama, he said, getting everyone's attention. He never addressed someone with respect before. I think that we are ready for something more than just chores. Could we possibly get a C-rank mission? He asked. Yubaka, you're only a few weeks out of the academy, and you're requesting a C-rank mission. These missions need to be done, and it promotes teamwork. Iruka yelled out. Hiruzen looked amused. Now, Iruka, let's see what Kakashi has to say about it, he said, looking towards the team leader. Kakashi looked at his charges and then to the Hokage. I believe they are ready for a C-rank, Hokage-sama, he said, and Iruka just gaped. I disagree. I've had all these kids in my class, and I don't think they're ready. Well, they're my charges as of now, and I think they are ready. I agree with Kakashi. We just got a mission to protect a bridge builder. Send him in, he yelled out to his secretary. The door opened, and in came an old man with gray hair and a large beard. He had glasses and a weird pointed hat, and he smelled of sake. These are the guards I hired? They're a bunch of brats. The only one that looks capable is the scarecrow over there. The one in the blue looks like an emo, the pinky looks useless, and the blonde, well, he's blonde, and he's a midget. The old drunk listed off. All the genin had tick marks at their descriptions. I assure you that my team is capable of protecting you. If not, then I will step in. Kakashi stepped in as he didn't want his students to start yelling at and possibly attacking the client. Fine. I am Master Bridge Builder, Tsuna-sama. I expect super protection until the bridge is finished, he declared. The rest in the room, sweat dropped at his declaration. I'm sure. Well, Team 7 meet at the gate in an hour with your gear, Kakashi said as he disappeared in a swirl of leaves. The Hokage grew a tick mark. I told him not to use the leaf shunshin in my office, he grumbled. Outside the village gates, Team 7 and Tsuna were walking on a dirt path at civilian speed because of the bridge builder. Sakura was asking questions on his village and country. So, you don't have ninja in your village? No. There used to be a ninja village across the way from us, and they would protect us, but they were destroyed a few years before the Third Shinobi War. Tsuna answered. What was the village called? Naruto asked. He looked over to the blonde. It was called Yuzushiobikyure, the village hidden in the whirlpools. He answered. Kid, that is your mother's homeland. If you can slip off and go to that village and look through it, you could possibly find more information about your devil fruits. The tailed beast suggested. How do I get there? He mentally asked. I don't know, Baka. I've been sealed in that damn leaf village since that human tree was Hokage. The QB spat out the phrase, human tree. All right. I'll ask for a boatman to take me, he said as he became aware to the outside world once again. Kakashi had just ended his lecture on the 5 great ninja villages and their kages. You all just doubted the Hokage, didn't you? Sasuke and Sakura looked like they were caught with their hands in the cookie jar, while Naruto looked indifferent. He didn't doubt the Hokage's strength, just wasn't listening at the time. They continued to walk and passed a puddle. From the puddle, 2 men with a shuriken-like chain attached to gauntlets appeared and wrapped up Kakashi. What? Is all he got to say before he was ripped to shreds. Sakura let out a scream of terror. Kakashi-sensei. He's down, time for the old man. One of the assailants said as they rushed towards Tsuna. Sasuke and Naruto got into action as they both rushed forward and threw shuriken into the links of the chain and pinned it to a tree. The duo then rushed the assassins in a bout of taijutsu. Naruto was slowly being pushed back and glanced over to Sasuke and saw him in the opposite position. TCH. All I know is the academy style, and I'm pretty sure they taught me that wrong too. He has his family style to help him. I need to find a taijutsu style for myself. He thought to himself. Keep your eyes on your opponent, boy. His opponent yelled as he set to strike him with his bladed gauntlet. Naruto saw the attack coming and acted quickly. He substituted for a wood log and got behind a tree. That's another one gone, he said as he rushed off towards Sasuke. Bet you thought. Room, Naruto said as he set his distance at 30 meters. He eyed the 2 attackers and saw the one that was fighting him about to hit Sasuke from behind. Shambles, he said, and Sasuke disappeared, and a surprised masked man was in his place. The claws were already on the way down, so neither could do much about it. The claws made contact and cut the man's chest. Meizu, you brat, I'll kill you, he exclaimed as he leapt at Sasuke, but was stopped when he was put into a headlock by Kakashi. That's enough of that, he said lazily as he choked the man out into unconsciousness. You're alive? Sakura and Tsuna yelled out. Kakashi nodded and pointed to a pile of shredded pieces of wood. Naruto's alive too. He's behind that tree. He lazily thumbed to a tree behind him. Naruto came from behind the tree with a sheepish grin. What was with that blue circle? It wasn't chakra. Did it have something to do with Sasuke switching places with Meizu at that last second? Sasuke didn't have enough time, nor did he see the attack coming, so it couldn't have been a substitution. Kakashi thought as he rattled off question in his head. Well, these 2 are the demon brothers, missing Nin from the Mist Village. The question is, why are they after you? He asked Tsuna, who started to sweat under his gaze. He stammered as he failed to find an excuse. He sighed in defeat and his shoulders slumped. Okay, I will tell you. Tsuna told them of Gato and the situation in the Land of Waves. Gato moved in years ago and took over the island. Everyone there lives in poverty except Gato and his goons. They wanted a way to connect to the mainland and get some merchants and economic flow back into the village, but then Gato had sent a bounty on Tsuna's head. They needed help but couldn't afford a B-rank mission, so he had to lie and say it was C-ranked. After some begging and guilt-tripping, he eventually got Kakashi to agree and continue the mission. They had just got off the boat and were walking to Tsuna's house when Naruto sensed something in the bushes. He whipped out a kunai and flung it towards the tree line. The others tensed at the sudden movement. What are you trying to do? Scare everyone to death? Tsuna yelled out while the rest looked on guard. Naruto walked over towards the bushes and parted them. He saw a shaking white rabbit with a kunai embedded into the tree right above its head. Naruto, you idiot! Scaring everyone for a stupid rabbit, Sakura yelled out. Naruto picked up the rabbit and the kunai. Sorry, little guy. He said as he placed the rabbit back on the ground and it scampered off. That coat of fur in this season is unnatural. Must have been a subs dash. Kakashi was knocked out of his thoughts by a whirling sound. He turned his head and saw a massive sword swing their way. "Duck!" he yelled out, as he grabbed Tazuna and took him to the ground. Sasuke ducked, and Sakura looked around clueless. "What duck?" Naruto groaned and appeared behind her and smacked her in the back of the head while ducking himself as the sword passed above his head and was lodged into a tree. The group stood up and looked over at the sword and saw that there was a man with bandages around his mouth and neck with his headband tilted slightly crouching on the sword. He hopped off his sword and onto the ground. He then reached over and grabbed his sword out of the tree bark and slung it over his shoulder. What strength! To be able to use that thing with one arm so easily. Naruto thought, what do we have here? Kakashi and a bunch of kids trying to play ninja? You know there's quite the bounty on your head. The man who has copied 1,000 jutsu with his Sharingan. The man said, shedding. Sasuke thought as he stared at his sensei in shock. Zabuza Momochi, demon of the hidden mist. Kakashi said as he lifted up his headband to show a blood-red eye with 3 tomo. Oh, Sharingan from the start. I'm flattered. Zabuza said as he lifted his sword. What is that word, Sharingan? Sakura asked. The Sharingan is the Kekkei Genkai of the Uchiha clan. It's a dojutsu. It allows the user to see movements before they are made and copy jutsu. It also allows to use Jinjutsu with just a glance. Sasuke answered. But how did he get that eye? That just scratched the surface of that eye, but enough talk. Zabuza said as he took a pose. Hidden mist jutsu. The bridge they were standing on became shrouded in a thick mist. Damn, I can't see through this mist. Kakashi thought. You 3. Protect the client. I'll deal with Zabuza. Kakashi ordered. The 3 nodded and surrounded Tazuna in a triangle-like fashion. They all heard a chuckle that sent shivers down their spines. Heart, liver, throat, and spine. Just a few of the instant kill points that I could use right now. His voice seemed to come from everywhere. An oppressive force beared down on everyone except Kakashi. Sakura and Tazuna were shaking uncontrollably while the latter actually pissed himself. Naruto was in a slightly better condition but still shaking. What is this feeling of death? Sasuke was the worst, however. It's just like that night. Is this what it's like to fight as shinobi? I have no chance against him. Maybe I should just end it here and now. He thought as the kunai he was holding slowly and shakily made its way to his neck. Sasuke, Kakashi called, stopping the young boy from killing himself. I will protect you. I won't let my comrades die, he said, and Sasuke nodded, and everyone slowly gained their confidence back. Too late, Zabuza said as he appeared in the middle of their formation and took a swing at Tazuna. Kakashi appeared behind him and stabbed him in the heart. But instead of blood spatter, water splashed out in the face of Tazuna and Naruto. Naruto expected to feel pain, or weaker at least. Wait, I thought I would be hurt or feel weak right now. What happened? He mentally asked. That is the price to pay for eating a devil fruit, and in your case 2 devil fruits robs you twice the amount. However, only standing water affects devil fruit users. Rain or jutsus won't affect you as it is moving. Just don't get thrown into that water below the bridge and you'll be fine. The QB answered him matter-of-factly. Water clone, huh? He said as he was slashed from behind, but he too turned into water. You copied my jutsu even through the mist. That eye is truly incredible. Zabuza said. What happened next was a deadly battle of water clone tag. Kakashi would hit Zabuza, and it'd turn out he was a clone, and vice versa. That changed when the real Zabuza came over and kicked Kakashi onto the water below, as he had just killed his last clone. This water feels different and heavier, Kakashi said as he resurfaced. Zabuza appeared by him and raised his hand, and a globe of water formed around Kakashi and trapped him. Huh, I beat you with such a simple tactic, Zabuza gloated. Now to take care of your little brats, he said as another water clone, and it started to walk across the water towards the genin. Guys, what do we do? Sakura asked. She's scared out of her wits. Her sensei, the strongest out of all of them, was taken easily. They stood no chance. You guys take Tazuna and run. You can't beat him. Kakashi yelled out as the water got heavier around him. No can do, Kakashi-sensei. Those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash, right? Naruto declared. Kakashi looked at his team with pride despite the situation. Guys, I have a plan, he said to his teammates. Shadow Clone Jutsu, he said as a few clones appeared near him and charged the Zabuza clone on the water. They shouldn't hold my weakness to water, and I should really learn how to stand on water like that guy. Naruto thought. Shadow Clone Jutsu? Impressive for a brat. Zabuza mused. Okay, Sasuke, you're the best at Shuriken Jutsu, so I need you to throw a kunai at Zabuza as a feint while also throwing a special Demon Wind Shuriken at him. Naruto explained. What's so special about this Shuriken? Sakura asked. Naruto smirked and created another clone. It hinged into a Demon Wind Shuriken. So it's just a hinge. Irika-sensei said that it's just an illusion. Sakura said. Naruto picked it up and walked over to her and cut off a piece of her hair. That real enough for you? He asked as he let her hair drop. Sakura and Sasuke looked at the shuriken with wide eyes. It looks like his jutsu needs him to be in contact with that orb of water. We just need him to move, and then hopefully Kakashi-sensei can finish him off. Naruto said. Sasuke nodded and went into action. He threw a kunai past the clone who had dispatched Naruto's shadow clones. They were at a disadvantage because they didn't know water walking yet. The kunai went past Zabuza as he leaned his head to the right. He looked back up and saw a Demon Wind Shuriken coming his way, and he jumped above it. He didn't expect the shuriken to turn into the blonde kid and throw a flurry of kunai at his back. He let go of the water orb and leaped away as Kakashi dropped to the water surface. He coughed up some water and looked up to where Zabuza landed. All right, it's time to end this, Kakashi said as he brought out two kunai and charged at Zabuza. They blocked and parried blows. Kakashi was surprisingly holding up against Zabuza's giant broadsword. They clashed again and pushed away for a few meters apart on the water. Zabuza started to go through hand seals, and Kakashi copied them at the same pace. Water Dragon Jutsu. They both yelled out as giant water tendrils grew out of the water and took shape of two dragon with glowing yellow eyes. The dragon attacked each other, coiling around each other and trying to bite into each other's neck. They succeeded, and they dispersed into a shower of water, which Naruto promptly ran away from. Are these people even human? Tazuna mentally asked himself as he watched these amazing feats. Ark, it's that damn eye. All you can do is copy me like a damn monkey. Zabuza yelled out as he went through more hand seals while running towards the bridge. Kakashi followed his direction while going through the same hand seals. Zabuza started to see himself appear behind Kakashi. It's as if he knows what I'm going to do next, Kakashi asked. Zabuza's eye widened, and he looked towards Kakashi's Sharingan. That damn eye. You can't beat me with cheap tricks. I'll crush you, they both yelled out. I'll make sure you never open that monkey mouth again, Zabuza declared, but stopped his hand seals when he saw himself appear behind Kakashi. That's me? But how? Is this a Jinjutsu? Kakashi finished his hand seals. Water Vortex Jutsu. He yelled out as a ring of water rose in front of him, turned into a hydro pump of water, and blasted Zabuza into a tree. I was going to use that jutsu, but he did it before me, Zabuza thought. Kakashi appeared in front of him after the water subsided. How? Can you see the future? Zabuza asked. Yes, and this is your last battle ever, he said as he moved in with a kunai ready to end the man's life. He stopped when two Senbon needles struck Zabuza in the neck, and he dropped to the ground dead. This shocked everyone watching, and they turned to the direction they were thrown from and saw a masked Nin with the Kiri symbol on their forehead. Thank you for weakening him. I've been after him for quite a while, the hunter Nin said as they approached the body. Kakashi went to Zabuza and checked his pulse. Sensing none, he nodded to the hunter Nin and went over to his team. Halfway there, he fell over from exhaustion, but heard his team call out to him. Kakashi-sensei. In chapter, I couldn't really remember how this mission went, so hopefully it's as close as it could possibly be. That is also the reason the other stories are taking so long besides me not having the time, but I got the next chapters done for Naruto of the Grand Line and Saber-Tooth's Dragon God. Just need to put the finishing touches on them. Also, yes, there will be other devil fruit in the story. Anybody got some ideas for a pairing? Please review. Trip to the land of whirlpools. Naruto stared out into the waters as he rowed a boat from wave country to the land of whirlpools. It is nighttime, and he doubted that anyone would come after him anytime soon. After Kakashi had fell over from his chakra exhaustion, Tazuna had led them to his house, where his daughter and grandson stayed with him. They arrived and met a woman named Tsunami, and she quickly ushered them in and gave Kakashi a room to rest up. Kakashi woke up soon after and got everyone to training on tree walking. It was about channeling chakra to the soles if your feet to cling to a surface. Too much and you will be blown off, and too little you won't stick. They needed to find a balance between the two. Sakura was the first to get the hang of it. She made it up to about a quarter of the tree before she got tired out. Sasuke and Naruto were struggling to get started, but after calming down, Naruto eventually started to make progress. He tried to help Sasuke, but all he got was an Uchiha grunt. Kakashi by this time had went back his bed to recover. Naruto had created some clones to help him get this down quicker. Sakura had gotten to the top of the tree, but was winded as she was almost without chakra. She had superior control, but less reserves than the boys. Naruto made it up about 3/4 of the way, and Sasuke wasn't that far behind him. They had larger reserves, but less control. After a couple days, they had moved on to water walking, which Naruto instantly dreaded, yet looking forward to. He listened to Kakashi explain the difference between tree and water walking. After his sensei left, he created 200 clones away from his teammates. He had 100 work on the tree walking and the other 100 on attempting to water walk. Since he couldn't touch still water, he decided to work on his room for the time being. Later that night, Naruto and his team were enjoying dinner with Tazuna and his family. Inari, Tazuna's grandson, started to question their reasons and stating that they would die. He went on a tirade of how his life was the absolute worst and no one could understand him. Naruto had snapped. What did this kid know about suffering? He had a house and family to love him, food on the table to eat every day, and clothes on his back. Naruto voiced his thoughts, and after he was done, stormed out to blow off some steam. Inari ran off, crying, and Kakashi went to comfort him. Soon after storming out, Naruto went and found a ship captain that would take him to the land of whirlpools, and that is where we find him. Hey kid, we're coming up to as far as I can take you. This island is surrounded by whirlpools, hence the name, the captain said in a gruff voice. Naruto nodded and took a deep breath. He leaned out of the boat and tentatively put his foot onto the water surface and channeled chakra into the bottom of his foot. When he saw he didn't sink, he slowly gained confidence and placed the other foot down. He let go of the boat and stood on the water. Hey, I did it! He mentally cheered. Yes, great job. Now get going, meatbag. I'd rather not die because you're a hammer that ran out of chakra. His Tintant said impatiently. Geez, calm down. You know my reserves are quite large for my age, he said as he started to walk across the water, and that slowly came up to a sprint. 30 minutes later, Naruto found himself staring at the ruins that used to be his ancestors' homeland. Whoa, what happened to this place? He wondered out loud. The Second Shinobi War happened. Kiri, Iwa, and Kumo all attacked. They feared the Uzumaki and their prowess with sealing arts. They deemed too powerful to be left alone. The fox said. Naruto frowned at that bit of information, but kept silent as he walked around and searched through the ruins. He came up to a building that looked a lot like the Hokage Tower in the Leaf Village. It looked like the rest of the village as it was falling apart and had holes in a lot of places. Naruto walked into the tower and created 10 clones. He sent them off to see if they could find anything. They nodded and sped off to search the destroyed village. Naruto kept walking until he found something akin to the Hokage's office. He walked in and looked around, found the place in disarray. He walked over to the wall with pictures on it like the Hokage's office. It seems that the Leaf borrowed a lot of designs from here. If that's true, then there is a vault where precious items are stored in the basement. Like when you stole that scroll from the old man. Kyuubi said. Naruto nodded and eyes widened a bit as a clone popped and he got the memories back. I think I found it, he said as he walked out of the room. As he arrived at the clone's last location, He saw a massive room and an equally large vault door. He took a closer look and saw that it had no lock mechanism. What the? Where's the lock? He walked up to the door and saw a series of seals. He put his hand onto the seals and pushed some chakra into it, but nothing happened. He pondered what else to do, and it hit him. He bit his thumb and he swiped it across the center of the door. The door started to unlock with sounds of moving mechanisms and slowly opened with a groan. Naruto backed out of the way, and the door opened all the way. He saw a lot of money sitting around in piles and had some clone seals, some into a couple scrolls. Why is there so much money here? I don't know. I overheard that the Yuzakage had a sizable fortune and your mother was his daughter. Technically, you're not stealing. You're just taking what is rightfully yours. With this plus whatever your parents left you in their bank accounts, you should be set for a pretty long time. The fox said lazily as Naruto nodded dumbly. He kept walking, and he stopped when he saw a large scroll placed on a pedestal. He walked over to it and unrolled and saw that it had a few names written into it. What is this? Kid, that is a summoning contract. Your father had signed one with the toads. They can be very powerful. Not as powerful as the great Kyubi-sama, but still powerful to you humans. Naruto's sweat dropped towards the end of the Kyubi's explanation. What animal is it, and do I just sign? The Kyubi sighed. I think you sign your name in blood and place your fingerprints on the scroll. Draw some blood, then go through the hand seals. Boar, dog, bird, monkey, ram. Slam your hand on the ground and push chakra through it. The amount of chakra you push and will determine the summon that comes out. The more chakra, the larger the summon, I believe. Naruto just blinked. How did you know all that? Kyubi snorted, silly human. I am the great Kyubi. I know all. And I saw your father do it before. He quickly whispered out. Naruto smirked at the fox but said nothing else on the matter. He bit his index finger and signed his name and put his fingerprints by his name in blood. He bit his thumb and went through the hand seals. Stop, Kit. Not in such a small space, Baka. We don't know how much chakra you will put in even with your upgraded chakra control. You could summon as small as a tadpole or as huge as a mountain. The Kyubi reasoned and Naruto rubbed his head sheepishly. Whoops. The Kyubi snorted at its host moment of stupidity. Naruto continued to search through the room after he put the summoning scroll on the small of his back. He kept walking and looking around and picking up and examining things. He stopped when he laid his eyes on a sword. He would have kept moving, but it was as if the sword was calling him towards it. He looked at it and saw it was a katana that had a black sheath with a red line where the blade should be. It had a red string wrapped around the sheath. The hilt was wrapped in all black wraps. He picked up the sword gingerly and unsheathed it. The blade was a double-edged katana that was pitch black with red edges. He got an ominous feeling from the sword as he swung it around. He looked down and saw a black book. He picked up the book and dusted it off. The title read, Art of the Black Blade, Legacy of Dracul Mihawk. Dracul Mihawk? Naruto tried the name out. He opened the book and started to skim over the words written down. His eyes widened when he read this Mihawk was once a pirate and the world's strongest swordsman before he was defeated by someone named Ranaroa Zoro. He left behind some notes on his style of swordsmanship. He also said that this style's true power could only be unlocked by the use of his sword, Yuru. Doesn't necessarily mean I can't use this style. Maybe I'll find his sword. He didn't say where he left it. Naruto mused as he put the book away and continued to walk looking at jutsu scrolls here and there. He saw two other books, and they were white and silver. History of Whitebeard by Edward Newgate. Finished by Marco the Phoenix. He said looking at the white book with a skull and bones in a cross formation. The skull had a grin with a large white beard. Turning the World Upside Down. Story of the First Pirate King by Silvers Rayleigh. He put the books with the one he got from Mihawk and continued to walk. Outside the Yuzakage Tower, Naruto continued to look through the vault, but he only found some notes on some ceiling that caught his eye. He was currently standing before the tower. Alright, let me try this out. He hit his thumb and flipped through the summoning seals and slammed his hand on the ground. Seals spread out from under his hand, and there was a huge plume of smoke. After the smoke cleared, he saw a huge black bear. It towered over him and a bit taller than the Yuzakage building. The bear had a huge slash scar across its chest, and it had a gold-trimmed white vest over its upper body. It had a massive war hammer strapped to its back. The hammer had an oak handle, and its actual hammer head was kind of jagged with the 4 points it had. It looked like anything hit with it would cease to exist and just splatter everywhere. The back of the hammerhead came together until a point, and one side looked bladed for dual use. The bear looked around confused before it narrowed its eye and glared at Naruto. "You dare summon the chief of the bear clan? Who are you, and tell me why I shouldn't strike you down where you stand?" The bear roared out. Naruto looked nervous at the thought of getting hit with that hammer. "And my name is Naruto Uzumaki." The bear let out a chuckle. "Ha ha, you and Uzumaki? Kid, my clan have fought with the Uzumaki for countless years. Uzumaki are known for their red hair, and you are clearly blonde. Come to think of it, how did you even get the scroll? Last I heard it was locked up in the Yuzakage's vault." The bear said dangerously as it reached for its hammer. "I tried pushing chakra into the seal of the vault, but it didn't work, so I used my blood, and it worked." Naruto quickly explained. The bear stopped reaching for its hammer and looked at Naruto with a blank face. Only the blood of a royal Uzumaki could unlock that vault. "Who were your parents?" the bear asked. "Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki." Naruto responded. The bear eyes widened in recognition. "Oh, the young princess of the Uzumaki. She was the Yuzakage's daughter and was sent to the Leaf Village." He looked back to Naruto and saw some features of the old Yuzakage in him. "There's something off about this brat. Let me give him the test." "All right, kid. Just because you are of royal Uzumaki blood doesn't mean we will serve you. You need to pass a small test." The bear said, and Naruto didn't catch the glint in its eye. "What's the test?" Naruto asked. The bear grabbed the massive hammer from its back and held it in paws. "Survive this, and we will talk," it said before it swung the hammer towards a shocked Naruto. Naruto was panicking and saw his life flash before his eyes. "Kid, concentrate. You have the power to destroy entire landmasses at your fingertips. Use it," the Kyuubi yelled out mentally. Naruto shook his head and reared his hand back. A white orb surrounded his hand, and he slammed it forward in the middle of the hammer spikes. Everything still for a few seconds, and then the reaction happened. Behind the bear, chunks of the ground was unearthed and thrusted away, but the bear stood strong. "This boy. No one has ever just struck at my hammer. Even more so, he did it to a stalemate." Behind Naruto, the winds from the hammer blew into the Yuzakage building and destroyed what was left of it. "What is with this bear? I thought the Gura no Mi would overpower his hammer." He thought as he saw cracks appeared from where he struck the hammer, but it didn't break. "You don't have as much control over that fruit as you think, kid. Without control, that power is not as useful. You'd be just a walking earthquake machine. You have some control, yes, but to beat an opposing force such as this isn't possible for you at the moment. I'm actually surprised that you're in a stalemate right now." The Kyuubi said. "You're the one who suggested this." Naruto yelled back. "It was either this or let you get hit and die, so shut up." Naruto was thrown back away from the bear into the rubble that was the Yuzakage building after letting his power drop, and the winds carried him. It was a comical sight to the bear and the demon fox. The bear hefted its hammer up and whistled. "Damn brat cracked my hammer. Ben, ain't gonna like this." The bear said. It reached over to Naruto and picked him up. "Okay, kid, you passed my test. You can now summon us, and we will help you," the bear said. Naruto smiled and bowed to the bear. "Thank you. My name is Theodore, but call me Ted." The now-named Ted answered. "Naruto Sweetopet, Omoke Tet. My name is Naruto Uzumaki," he said. "You told me that already, but tell me, Naruto, how did you stop my hammer? Most people just jump away, but there was this one brat who jumped and stuck to my hammer." He grumbled the last part. "Oh, I used my devil fruit power," he explained as if it was obvious. Ted's eyes widened a bit. "Did you say devil fruit? Which one did you eat?" Naruto grew curious. "There are more of them, and I ate 2 of them. The Op no Mi and the Gura no Mi." Ted's eyes widened even more, almost threatening to pop out of his head. "You ate 2? How are you alive?" "I have the Kyuubi sealed in my gut, and he kept me alive. Naruto explained. So you're a Jinchuriki, yeah? I guess that explains it. Ted said as he rubbed his head with his other paw, then a look of realization crossed his face. Did you say you ate the ope fruit? He said with a blank face. Yeah. Why? Naruto said before he and Theodore disappeared in a poof of smoke. Summoning Realm. Ted and Naruto reappeared in a giant forest, not unlike the one that surrounds the Leaf Village. Naruto looked around and saw that there were caves located within the forest from what he could see. Where are we? Naruto asked. We are in the home of the Bear Clan. Theodore said as he let out a roar, and bears of many sizes started to scurry of the caves and forest and surrounded the giant black bear. We have a new summoner, he bellowed, and the bears let out a collective roar. He survived the test and even has eaten a special devil fruit, he said, and the bears quieted down. Where is little Beepo? Ted asked, and a small panda bear in a black jumpsuit walked out in the front of the gathered bears. Little Beepo fetched that book for me. The panda's eyes widened but quickly scurried off and came back with yellow book. The giant boss summon picked up the little book between his claws and handed it to Naruto. This is the journal of one Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. He was the captain of the Heart Pirates and quite the threat because of the fruit you ate, he said as the bears gasped. Why you mean? A golden bear stuttered out. Yes, this boy has eaten the ope no mi, the same fruit as our ancestor's former captain. Theodore answered, and they looked at Naruto with wide eyes. Ted looked back towards Naruto. The one to start this clan was the navigator on the Heart Pirates ship. We are all descendants of Beepo, with little Beepo being a direct descendant, his great-great-great-great-grandson, I think. That book there contains all of Law's information on the fruit and his adventures. Why did he give it to Beepo? Naruto asked. Most people don't know this, but the Uzumaki were a wandering clan before they settled in the land of whirlpools. They often seen and collected a lot of things. They got the bear summoning contract soon after Beepo made it. They had also found the ope no mi, but they refused to eat it for some reason. Beep obtained the book from the first mate in hope to give it the consumer of the fruit if it was ever eaten again. It never happened, as the fruit was kept in the vault and passed through the generations. That is until you found and ate it, an elderly bear said. This bear had glasses that rested on its snout. It was a little large, and it had gray-colored fur. It was holding a sledgehammer with the hammer end being on the ground, and it looked to be supporting its weight a bit. It had a white cloak on its shoulder held together with a residential string. On the back was a kanji for Kuma inside a circle. That's Elder Gobi. He's been around for a while. Naruto nodded dumbly and was whacked upside the head by the elderly bear which suddenly appeared in Theodore's palm with him. He grabbed his head and glared at the old bear. Ow! What the hell, bear? Naruto yelled out. You didn't bow before me. How disrespectful. I am your elder and a hiking bear. Time for punishment. Elder? Naruto didn't know what species or your customs. You can't punish him for it. Theodore said. Oh yeah, just watch me, he said as he went towards Naruto. Naruto started to run away from the bear. Oi, Ted, send me back to the wave. Ted chuckled. No can do. We don't have a summon point there. Best I can do send you back to Uzumaki Tower. Whatever. Just get me away from this crazy geezer, Naruto said before he disappeared in a plume of smoke. The elder glared up to the black bear. Well, since he can't get punishment, you'll take it for him. Assume the position. What? That isn't how it works, you old fart. Assume the position. Theodore begrudgingly sat in the traditional Japanese sitting position. Your hour starts. Now, he said as he flipped an hourglass upside down to start time. Uzumaki Tower. Naruto appeared and sighed. At least the bear isn't chasing me anymore. He heard a plume of smoke and an added weight to his head. He looked up and saw a small black cub mixed up in his golden locks. My name is Jan, and Papa said that I'm your personal summon now. Let's have lots of fun, okay? She chirped out. Naruto just smiled at her and nodded a bit, so not to knock her off. She was kind of big for his head and wouldn't fit in a couple months, but he would deal with it for now. He looked up and saw that it was still nighttime, and he needed a way to get back to the wave. You could use throw a kunai and substitute with it for a while. It was a version of the flying thunder god before your father finished the technique. You could water walk once you get close enough. The QB suggested. Naruto nodded. Hey, January. I'm going back to my team. I'll summon you when I reach the land, okay? The cub nodded happily. Okay. Just give me a fish or some berries when you summon me, she said before she disappeared in a poof of smoke. Naruto went to the water and started to walk on it before taking off to gain some speed. He threw a kunai and waited for 3 seconds and then replaced himself with it. I guess that really worked, he muttered to himself. Of course it worked. Naruto rolled his eyes and focused on getting back to the wave. He was going to be low on kunai for this mission, but he needed to get back. And shout out to Davana1 for giving me the idea of the Bear Clan summoning among some other things in this chapter, like Beepo being the ancestor of the Bear Clan and Naruto finding Whitebeard's and Rayleigh's journals. I had a hard time in finding good bear names. Theodore is named after Theodore Roosevelt and the black bear he refused to shoot in a tree. Jan is named after an author of the Bernstein Bears books. The elder is a bear that the Straw Hats meet when they are climbing the mountain to Finn's the doctor when Nami got sick. Review please. End of Gato. Naruto finally got back to the beach of the wave and was winded. Oh, my God. That was a long trip, he thought to himself. He made for clones and gave them the books he found. He went on his way back to Tsunade'S house. He was dead tired, but he felt something tug at his leg. He looked down to see a young boy not much older than 5 or 6. He was dressed in rags and had a look of sadness and despair in his eye. Almost like me. As he gazed onto the boy's face as a younger, Naruto's features started to ghost over the boy's face. Except, by the looks of it, this kid has much more reason to have that look. Do you have any food, mister? The child asked out. Naruto shook his head, and the child looked crushed and started to walk away. But I have this, Naruto said as he brought out some of the money he got from the vault in the Yuzakage building. He pulled out about 4,000 ryo. He handed it to the kid and smiled when he saw the boy's eyes widen and then start to tear up. Thank you, mister. No problem. No problem. Now hold on to that and don't let go. Buy some food and water and stay safe, okay? The little boy nodded and scampered off into an alley. Naruto smiled sadly at the scene. It was like him before he met the third. He looked around to the rest of the poverty-struck village and clenched his fist. That bastard, Gato, he did this to these people. He thought angrily. He was going to pay. He needed some time to blow off some steam and went to the woods and proceeded to just practice some tree walking and controlling his Gura power. He fell asleep after exhausting himself, and the forest clearing he was at completely destroyed with the training he went through. He and the QB felt as if his control got better, but it needed to get better. He was woken up and was treated to the sight of a very beautiful girl. She had long black hair, pale skin, and large brown eyes. She wore a pink sleeveless kimono tied together with a white obi. She was looking for herbs for her sick friend, and Naruto decided to help her with his knowledge of herbs. They talked about his shinobi lifestyle and what he fights for, and it left him stumped. She told him that she believes when someone fights for something truly precious to them, that is when they become truly strong. After that, she thanked him and went on her way, but not before saying she was actually a boy. The now identified boy giggled as he walked off, leaving a very stumped Naruto. Huh, are you sure you swing for the right team? Shut up, you bastard. I'm straight, but you saw how he looked? Why would a guy dress so feminine? Naruto screamed out. Whatever you say, kid. The fox said, whatever. Naruto picked up his sword and tied it to his waist. He made a clone and dispelled it to tell the other clones to bring back those journals, and then dispel. He waited about 5 minutes before the clones came and dispelled. Naruto sealed the books away and looked to the sky and saw it was noon. Should probably get back to the house. He walked towards the house, but noticed something amiss. He didn't hear any sounds of training and looked around. He noticed a few cuts on a couple of trees and a dead pig that was hacked up. That can't be good, he said as he started to run. He stopped when he saw Tsunami being held hostage in the backyard with Inari standing a few feet in front of them. Let go my mom, he yelled out. The one holding Tsunami's arm smirked cruelly. Hey, that brat is a little noisy and might alert someone. Take care of him. He said to his partner, who nodded and drew his sword and stalked toward the boy. Inari slowly backed up. "What's the matter, kid? Weren't you going to make us give your mom back?" He said as he came closer and closer and raised his sword for a downward strike. Inari raises his arms in reflex and closed his eyes and expected a lot of pain. He heard a clang and a thump. He slowly opened his eyes to see Naruto standing in front of him with a kunai out in reverse grip and the thug on the ground groaning. "That was a very brave thing you did, Inari," Naruto said as he glanced back to the boy who was looking at him with wide eyes. "It was also very stupid. You should run when facing opponents stronger than yourself, but I'll make an exception this time," Naruto said with a smile. "Hey, don't ignore me and don't come any closer or she gets it," the other thug said, waving his sword around to make a point Naruto assumed. "Room," Naruto stated as a circle expanded from his hand and surround them all. What is this?" the thug yelled out as his sword made its way toward Tsunami. "Shambles," Naruto muttered out, and everyone was shocked as Naruto phased out of existence and Tsunami was in his place. She went to her son and hugged the life out of him. Naruto appeared in front of the thug and blocked his sword strike with his kunai and kicked him in the chest. The sword flew from his hand and landed a few feet away from him. Naruto released his room and created two clones who knocked out the thugs and tied them up. He walked over to the mother and son duo and smiled. "I'm glad you're safe." And Tsunami thanked him profusely for saving what was left of her family. "No problem," he said as he gave a good guy pose with the thumbs up, then he got serious. "Do you know where my team is?" he asked. Tsunami nodded. "Yes, they went to the bridge with father. Why?" "Because if those thugs came to get you, it must mean that Gato is making his move on the old man today," he said, getting a gasp from Tsunami. He smiled reassuringly. "Don't worry. I promise to get THR old man back in one piece. I never go back on my word," Naruto said as she nodded and ran towards the bridge. Tsunami watched him go off and didn't see Inari sneak off. Bridge. Kakashi was currently in a battle against Zabuza once again. The sword wielder had came back stronger and with backup in the form of the fake hunter Nin, who was fighting Sasuke at the moment. They had suspected Zabuza would be back today, but they also planned for Naruto to be here as well. Even if he wasn't skilled like Sasuke, he was still a body to help protect Tizuna. Kakashi couldn't find the blonde when he went looking for him last night, but suspected that he was alive somewhere doing whatever he does in his free time. That is not really appropriate for a ninja, especially on a mission. He let his emotions control him. Kakashi thought as he dodged another swing from Zabuza's massive broadsword. "You better give up and escape with those brats while you can, Kakashi. Haku is at least high Chunin border, like low Jounin level, and has his ice release. The boy doesn't stand a chance." Zabuza gloated. Kakashi chuckled, and he lashed out with a kunai held in reverse grip. "I wouldn't be too sure about that. Sasuke was his class rookie of the year, and Haku isn't the only one with a bloodline. You're looking at the last Uchiha." Zabuza's eyes widened a bit as he dodged and jumped back, the sole survivor of Itachi Uchiha's massacre of his clan. "It's that boy," Zabuza thought as he charged at Kakashi again. Naruto just arrived at the bridge and saw Kakashi fighting Zabuza again. Sasuke was fighting the fake hunter Nin in a dome of ice plates. He shook his head at the odd sight and looked over to see Sakura standing near Tizuna. They both looked shaken and like they would jump at the slightest sound. Sakura wasn't even in a defensive position, no kunai out to defend against a surprise attack or anything. She was looking worried over Sasuke rather than Tizuna. He looked over to the ice dome and decided to make his presence known. He jumped down in between Sakura and the ice dome. "Naruto Baka, where have you been?" Sakura screeched out, making Tizuna wince. "I've been out training," he stated coolly. "Stupid. Trying to be as cool as Sasuke. You can help me guard Tizuna until Sasuke finishes that mask guy." Naruto shook his head. "Help you? You aren't guarding Tizuna yourself. No weapon or any kind of defensive stance. What if Zabuza were to throw a barrage of shuriken or kunai? And Sasuke won't be able to beat that guy. I've seen enough to know that he is outclassed at the moment," he said as he started to walk towards the ice mirrors. Sakura was fuming. "Hey, get back here. I am your superior. I was Kunoichi of the year, and you were dead last. I outrank you. She slammed her foot and pointed to the ground as if she was scolding a dog. Naruto turned around so she could see only one of his icy blue eyes that sent shivers down her spine. If you ever talk to me like that again, there will be consequences. Academy rank means nothing out here. You better learn before you get yourself killed. Naruto said as he vanished from his spot. He reappeared next to Sasuke, who had scratches here and there, and watched as he dodged a volley of Senbon. He looked over to Naruto and glared. You idiot. You should have stayed outside the dome. We would have a better chance that way. Jeez. I come in here to save your sorry ass, and this is the thanks I get. Naruto responded with a smirk. Sasuke glared and then smirked himself. Whatever, just don't get in my way, dope. The masked Nin soon began to attack them with his Senbon again, and they were getting hit every so often. This guy, he's not trying to kill us. I saw his accuracy last time, and we aren't dodging all that fast. Why is he holding back? Naruto thought. He was too fast for Naruto to see, but Sasuke seemed to be getting better at dodging the needles. He looked over, and he was surprised when he saw Sasuke with red eyes like Kakashi's. He had 2 Tomo in the right eye, and 1 in the left. He awakened his Sharingan? Naruto thought. Sasuke, your eyes have changed, he stated, and Sasuke looked shocked but shook it off. Things did seem to change. I see every slight movement and the chakra of Naruto. Maybe I can find the real Hunter Nin now. He mused as he looked at the mirrors. He was disappointed as they all looked the same. Damn. Hey Sasuke, with those eyes, can you see him? Naruto asked. Yes. He was way faster before, but now I can see him as if he was going normal speed. Why? Because I have a plan. Just tell me which mirror he comes out of, and then attack me. What? That's the stupidest plan ever. Sasuke yelled out. I would have to agree with him. That is not a very smart plan of action. The Hunter Nin said. The times for games is over. I truly don't want to do this, but for Zabuza-sama's ambitions I must. The Nin finished as he raised up more Senbon and threw them with extreme accuracy and speed at Naruto. They seemed to be coming from everywhere, and there was no escape. As if these needles will affect me now. Now that I have activated these eyes, I'll be able to kill him, Sasuke said arrogantly as he dodged the needles effortlessly while Naruto was struggling. There were needles heading towards Sasuke from behind him, and he was in midair with no room to dodge, so he substituted with Naruto. Naruto was riddled with needles and fell to the ground. The Kyuubi was outraged at what the despicable Uchiha had done. Be grateful. You have just saved the last Uchiha. You sacrificed your comrade? Why? The Nin asked. Because I needed to survive, and besides I'm more important than him. I'm the last Uchiha. He's some clanless dobe who barely passed the academy by the skin of his teeth. You are truly foolish. The Nin said as he launched more needles at Sasuke. You're the one who is foolish. You can't hurt me anymore, and I bet this ice dome takes a lot of chakra. It's only a matter of time, Sasuke said with a smirk. True to his word, the dome did come down in about 5 minutes, and Sasuke went on the offensive. Now take this. Fire style. Great fireball just do, he said as he spat out a giant free ball that zoomed towards the Nin. The Nin was out of chakra and was looking like it was over until they heard room. Suddenly, the Nin and Sasuke were in different positions, with Sasuke being in the receiving end of the jutsu. He yelled out as he tried to jump away, but was hit and he was burned on his left arm and leg. The Nin looked around and blinked. What happened? I saved you. They heard and turned towards Naruto, who grunted as he picked out the Senbon in his back. Damn bastard. Unlocks his bloodline and thinks he's bigger than he already thought. He might be worse than the Hyugas, he said as picked out the last Senbon and stood up as the Kyuubi had been healing the injuries. Why did you save me? Aren't I your enemy? Naruto looked over to the masked person. Yes, I suppose you are, but you are better than that guy. Naruto pointed over towards Sasuke, who was cradling his burn arm. Sasuke-kun. Sakura ran over and checked on Sasuke and glared at the Hunter Nin. How dare you hurt Sasuke-kun? Naruto looked towards the Hunter Nin and saw that they made no move to attack Tazuna. Why aren't you attacking the old man? Now would be the time, as there isn't anyone guarding him. he said, but then heard something akin to chirping birds. Because there is something I must do, they said as an ice mirror appeared behind them. Goodbye, Haku. The Nin stopped for a second and then went through the mirror. With Kakashi summoning, Earth-style, Fong Pursuit Jutsu. Kakashi yelled out as he slammed his hand on the ground, and a wave of dirt went towards Zabuza. The ground exploded, and Zabuza grunted as he was struck with multiple teeth and claws from multiple dogs. He was currently pinned to the ground and couldn't move. So, what's your plan now? Talk me to death. Zabuza said, I could do something like that if I gave the order. Those dogs could tear you limb from limb, but let me show a move of my own creation, he said as he gripped his right forearm as lightning started to gather in the palm of his hand, and a circle of lightning surrounded him. He rushed forward with a cry of lightning blade. He got close to Zabuza and thrusted his hand forward towards Zabuza's heart. He didn't expect an ice plate to appear and the hunter Nin to come out. Kakashi's hand pierced Haku's chest, just as Naruto got to their side of the bridge. Zabuza's eyes widened a bit, and he hesitated, but he swung his sword through Haku to get to Kakashi. Kakashi grabbed Haku's body and jumped away. Kakashi pulled his hand out and went to battle Zabuza. They exchanged blows for a few minutes before Kakashi rendered both of Zabuza's arms useless. He was about to land the killing blow before he heard clapping. All occupants of the bridge looked towards the end of IR and saw a band of bandits and thugs with varying weapons, and at the head of the mob was a man with puffy brown hair wearing a black suit and small black glasses. Gato, Zabuza growled out. What are you doing here? The now named Gato laughed. I figured, why pay a shinobi so much money when I can hire all of these guys for the same prices? Kakashi, our battle is over, Zabuza said as he stalked towards the mob of men. You can't seriously think you can take them all? Both of your arms are broken, Naruto stated. Zabuza seemed to mull it over. You're right. Give me a kunai, he said as the bandages around his mouth unraveled. Naruto shook his head. This is not how Haku would want you to live your life. I believe he would want you to live. That is why he died, to protect you and your ambitions as your weapon. He cared for me more than that, didn't he? Zabuza asked as he thought back to the time he spent with the young child of the Yuki clan. I wouldn't know, but to throw his sacrifice away is very disrespectful. Don't you think? I want to be with Haku again, even though we may not see each other in the afterlife, Zabuza said. Naruto looked into the man's eyes and nodded. He pulled out a kunai and tossed it to Zabuza, who caught it with his mouth. Zabuza nodded in thanks and rushed off towards the mob of thugs after Gato. Gato cowered and yelled for his small army to attack the charging Nin. He clashed the thugs, slashing and stabbing with his kunai. The thugs struck him with their own various swords, spears, and kunais. Zabuza made it to Gato, who was shaking in fear, before he collapsed in front of the man. Gato smirked and slowly walked up to the nuke Nin. You're just a baby demon, he said arrogantly. He took out a blade and went to end Zabuza's life, but was stopped when the current Kobikurabocho user disappeared and the blonde brat took his place. I can't let someone like you kill that man. It would be a disgrace to his pride, Naruto said. Gato snorted, as if a brat like you could stop me, he said as he took a swing at Naruto, who just shook his head and knocked the knife out of his hand and pulled a kunai, making Gato cower. A blue circle expanded from Naruto's hand and surrounded him and Gato. Kakashi's eyes narrowed. That is the same circle from the bell test. So it was him? But what is it? I haven't tried this before, but the worst outcome is you dying, so it's a win-win, Naruto said. He thrust his hand forward and struck Gato in the chest. There was a cube-shaped hole in his chest as something came flying from his back. Kakashi's eyes widened. Did he just thrust his heart out of his chest? Gato fell to the ground, clutching the left side of his chest and breathing very hard. What did you do to me? He wheezed out. Naruto held out his hand, and a glass-like cube was in his hand with a heart on the inside. I took your heart, Naruto said as if it was simple. Gato looked horrified. How? That's neither here or there. You're going to sign everything you own over to the people of the Wave Country, or else. Naruto squeezed the cube, which caused Gato extreme pain as he started to yell. Okay. I will do what you say. Just please stop. Gato whimpered out. Naruto nodded and knocked out Gato. He picked up the slime ball and walked over to his sensei, who was looking at him with a calculating look. Kakashi. A voice rasped out, and they turned to see Zabuza with an assortment of weapons sticking out of his back and sides. "See, could you take me to Haku?" he asked. Kakashi nodded and picked up Zabuza and walked over to Haku's body. Zabuza said his last goodbyes and his regrets to his late apprentice and passed away as it started to snow. Naruto walked over to the Kobikurabocho and sealed it away in a scroll. He then noticed a mass of people gathered led by none other than Inari. He was going to go greet them when he heard Sakura squeal as Sasuke woke up and Kakashi went over to see his star student. Naruto shook his head and told the villagers of his deal with Gato. Many wanted to kill him then and there, but had to get their money back. Over the next couple of days, Gato had signed over everything he had to the people of the wave or risk his heart being crushed. Afterwards, Naruto gave him his heart back, but it didn't stop the villagers from beating him to death. Sakura doted over Sasuke's burns, and he was now wearing bandages over his burns. Kakashi asked how he got them, and he told him that after he sent his fire jutsu, Haku used a substitution on him. Kakashi thought something was amiss, but let it slide as he didn't have a better explanation. Naruto had dug a grave for Haku and Zabuza. He used the executioner's blade as grave marker for them. They were currently tree-hopping back to the village. Sasuke was brooding about being beaten by Haku, but was happy about finally unlocking his Sharingan. Sakura was glancing at Sasuke and blushing while silently squealing. Naruto was thinking over his training. Kakashi wasn't helping him further his skills. He trained himself more than Kakashi has. He felt his basics were now up to par with the best of them. He needed to work on his stamina, so he asked the QB to help him with a workout regimen. He needed to work on his newly found techniques for his OP, and this hockey thing his clone read about in Rayleigh's journal. He needed to learn this black blade style as well. He also needed to summon his familiar from the Bear Clan. He would like to get to know her. He had a lot to do, and still looking for a pairing. I like Naratoxino. What DF should go to who? Suggestions? Maybe the Yami. Yami no Mi to Shikamaru? Tell me what you think in the reviews. Chapter 6. The Village Hidden in the Leaves. Regarded as the strongest among the 5 great nations. It was a beacon of greatness, and if you asked anyone in the village, they would tell you that it was perfect. That, however, was a lie. There were many imperfections within the great walls that protected the village. Abuse of a young child, the corruption that was rooted within the village's council, and the red light district. Many avoided these things as much as possible for many reasons. Many council members thought they were gods walking among mortals. If you even looked at them wrong, they would have you arrested. These same people often embezzle from the funds that go to helping the red light district. People avoided that district because its reputation of being run down and its occupants' questionable career choices. They were often visited by the council members that were looking for some action, but not from their wives at homes. And if the money is good, who are the girls to reject such an offer? Many of the sick and poor lived in the red light. They simply lacked the funding to move away from the poverty or get decent medical attention. For a village that boasts the greatest medical staff, they are certainly selective of who they treat with their great medical skills. That is not the case, hence the reason Naruto is in front of a bed with a small family behind of him and an elderly man in the bed. It had been a few weeks since the wave mission. He had constantly had clones reading up on medical books and various medical ailments, so he could help people. He had kept reading the journals he found in the vault, but had yet to put most of it in practice. His clones did, that while he had met a couple of interesting characters. Flashback. Naruto was up early in the morning around 5. He needed to work on his stamina to truly use his devil fruits. He had set up a regime where he would run a couple laps around the village wall and doing some extreme physical workouts. He was stretching in front of the village gate before he was almost knocked over by a green blur. He hooped back before the blur could hit him, and he looked at it as it went past him. What the hell was that? He was interrupted from his musings when another smaller green blur came whizzing at him. He could actually catch a glimpse of this person and was frightened by what he saw. A young man with fair skin and large eyes. What stuck out about him was his huge eyebrows and tragic hairdo, the dreadful bowl cut. He was so distracted that he didn't move, and Ibu ran into him, and they both were knocked over. They both groaned, but the boy in green hopped up enthusiastically. I am sorry. My youthfulness overcame me, and I wasn't watching where I was going. Please forgive me, he declared loudly, which made Naruto wonder who was that loud this early in the morning. He held out a hand to help Naruto up. What are you doing out here? Naruto asked as he accepted the extended hand. I'm doing some light training with my sensei, he said loudly again. It sure must be nice to actually train with your sensei, Naruto thought as he shook his head at the disappointment that was Kakashi. Pataki. He looked up to see the other green blur barreling towards them. It started to slow down until it came to a stop by both of the boys. Naruto's eyes widened at what he saw. It was a clone of the boy, except he was older and had a leaf jounin vest. They both wore green jumpsuits with their red leaf headbands around their waists like belts. They both wore orange leg warmers around their calves and ninja sandals. They looked like they could be father and son. Lee, my youthful student, why did you stop running? The man said louder than the boy. Guy Sensei, I ran into this young man here, and I had to apologize for my mistake. The now-named guy looked over and saw the blonde container. Naruto expected a glare or some harsh words, but was surprised when he saw the man smile. It was so bright, it almost blinded him. Yash, another young ninja flourishing with the power of youth. Hello, I am the Green Beast of Konoha, Mato Guy. He introduced himself with a nice guy pose. Yash, I am one of his students, Rock Lee. He finished with the exact same pose. Naruto's sweat dropped. So Lee told me you guys are training. What are you training for exactly? The upcoming Chunin exams. We have to be in top shape if we want to be promoted. Yes, I believe that you, Niji, and Tenten can do it. You are my youthful students after all. Guy Sensei. Lee. Guy Senii. Lee. Naruto watched their strange interaction and regretted it as he saw the most horrific thing in his short life. The sunset on a beach man hugged Jinjutsu. He tried to break the Jinjutsu, but he couldn't, and looking away didn't help as he couldn't. This was torture to the highest degree. Soon, they stopped hugging and turned towards Naruto. He was knocked out of his stupor when he felt someone slap his back. Oh, what? I asked you what were you doing out this early? Guy said, oh, I wanted to train my strength and stamina, so I was going to run around the village wall a couple times. Guy went silent, then suddenly started to shake. Naruto thought he had said something wrong, but was caught off guard when Guy yelled, Yash, we have found someone who rivals your flames of youth, Lee. Yash, you shall be my eternal rival. I will prove my flames of youth are stronger than yours. If I cannot do it, then I will do 500 laps around the village. If I cannot do that, then I will do 5,000 push-ups with a boulder on my back. If I see a dash, can I train with you guys? Naruto asked, cutting off the energetic Lee. Guy quirked his bushy brow. Why would you want to train with us? Don't you have team training? Naruto scoffed and crossed his arms. If you can even call it that, Kakashi leaves Sakura and I to do team building exercises and goes train Sasuke one-on-one. He's always late and sometimes doesn't even come to our training. Guy frowned. How unyouthful of my eternal rival. He looked back to Naruto. I'm sorry, but I can't train you in any of my fighting styles, but I could allow you to train with me and leave for our warm-ups. Naruto looked disappointed but perked up at the end of it. So what does your warm-ups entail? Could you help me with ninjutsu? I'm sorry, but I can't even teach you ninjutsu. I was lackluster in the academy with it and focused on taijutsu. While I can perform some and have knowledge on a few, it is not my forte. It's more Kakashi's thing. As for warm-ups, we do 20 laps around the village, then 400 push-ups and sit-ups. After that, it is dash. He stopped listening as he thought, these guys are insane. This is just a warm-up? Well, it would get my stamina to where I needed it and beyond, actually. I will join you, Naruto said, breaking Guy from him long list of exercises. Yash, we will continue with the laps, as we will get you some weights tomorrow from my other youthful student, Tintin. Guy yelled out with flames in his eyes, with Lee doing the same thing. They both ran off as green blurs again. What have I gotten myself into? And they were wearing weights? Flashback end. Naruto smiled at the thought and the family before him. The father was sick, but they didn't know to what extent. He had found their son walking around frantically for help, crying about his father being very sick. Naruto couldn't help see a young child in need and decided to follow. He kept his guard up because you can never know when someone is going to attack in the red light district. He didn't blame them, though. People have to survive some way. He looked over the father, who was coughing small amounts of blood into a tissue and looked like unnaturally thin for a man his size. "What are his symptoms, ma'am?" he asked the wife. "He keeps coughing up blood, and he dropped a lot of weight recently. He also breathed hard when he is laying there, even when his last cough was hours ago. He also clutches at the right side of his chest, as if he was in pain," she said as she wiped the sweat from the man's brow as he looked toward her thankfully. Naruto mulled over the information in his head. This could be a number of things, but if he's clutching the right side of his chest and he's coughing up blood, I would assume that there is something wrong with his lung. "Are you a medic, need? Can you help him, please?" the woman all but begged. Naruto nodded, and the irises of his eyes went from blue to a bright, glowing white. "Scan," he muttered. His vision changed from seeing colors and everyone's features to black and white and seeing the insides of everything. He could see beyond the walls and into the man's body now. "I wonder why Law didn't do this?" He said he always did it with his sword. Maybe because he didn't think of it. I doubt he had Dojutsu to model after. He then felt an intense burning in his eyes that made him want to shout out, but he couldn't unless he scared the family. What the hell? Maybe this is why he didn't use scan through his eyes? Ignoring the pain for now, Naruto looked over the man's chest cavity and immediately saw what he was looking for. Inside the man's right lung was a group of tumors. He frowned at this information. They appeared to not far along, but it definitely needed to be treated right away. From what he read, cancerous tumors can have some cells break off and enter the blood and spread throughout the body. This man has been having these pains for a week, so he'd have to check again in another week. "Okay, I figured out what the problem is. Your husband has lung cancer," Naruto said, and the woman gasped, and she looked to her husband in worry. "See, can you do something to help him?" Naruto nodded and held his hand out. Room. A circle of glowing, faintly blue appeared around the bed, and he unsealed a set of medical supplies he liberated from a medical storage room. He picked up a scalpel and was about to make an incision, but stopped when the wife asked him, "Don't you need to put him to sleep first?" Naruto shook his head. "There's no need." He pointed to the blue circle. "Everything within that circle, I can cut without it feeling any pain. See, watch." Naruto then cut himself and didn't flinch, but the woman didn't seem convinced. He sighed and cut her the tip of her finger off. She gasped as her finger was lobbed off, but she didn't feel anything, and he didn't move from his spot. "See? You didn't feel a thing. You can reattach your finger by sticking the two pieces back together." She did just that as he started to operate on the man, and she was amazed at how easy it was to fix her hand. There was no blood or need for surgical reattachment. She looked to Naruto with an expression of awe. Naruto was finishing up the surgery. It was harder than he expected. He had taken out the lung much to the woman's shock, but he ignored it as he removed the tumors. He placed the tumors into a small trash bag and tied it up tight. He then placed the lung back into the man and sealed him up nice and tight. The man, while not looking immediately better, gained more color and stopped his immense coughing fit. The wife hugged him while a few tears leaked out, and she thanked him profusely. Naruto waved her off and told her it was nothing, and that if they needed help again to get him, as he was just a short walk away. Naruto walked out of the house after letting their son join them in the bedroom. He smiled sadly for two reasons. One, because he never had a family, it nice yet sad to see one happy together. And the other reason was because the family was in such a terrible neighborhood. Not that the people around here weren't nice, but it just looked so bad and wasn't a place for a small child. He looked up to see it was a little afternoon, probably about 1 o'clock. He decided to go shopping for some supplies while he is out. Tintin was bored sitting at the shop, the Dragon Armory. It was dreadfully slow business today, and she desperately wanted to close up shop and train or do anything else, but she couldn't unless she wanted to be fired. She was thinking about who her new training partner was going to be. Guy Sensei said he had a weapon user and budding Fuinjutsu enthusiast for her to train with. She was excited because there was another ninja out there like her. Hopefully, they'll be cool and suave, unlike her sensei and his clone, and more talkative and outgoing than Niji. She looked up boredly when she heard the bell ring through the shop. A figure came in dressed in orange-trimmed black hoodie. He had sunny, spiky blonde hair and 3 whisker marks on each cheek. What drew her attention, though, was the sword at his hip. It looked like a masterpiece. She drooled mentally at the sight. "Welcome to Dragon Armory. How may I service you today?" Tintin said, not taking her eyes off of his sword. "Hello. I'm looking for something to help with sword maintenance and some ink and scrolls of varying sizes," the boy asked in a polite tone. Tintin raised her eyebrow at his request. "Sure. How many scrolls of each sizes?" she asked as she went to the cabinet under the counter. "I would like 10 small scrolls, 5 medium scrolls, and 1 large scroll." She hummed in confirmation and looked through the cabinet while waving some dust out of the way. "So you study sealing?" she asked as she tried to get the medium-sized scroll unstuck. "Yes. I recently found I was kind of good at it, so I wanted to expand my knowledge," he said. "That's pretty cool. I wanted to be a medic nin like Tsunade, the Sannin, but I wasn't too good at it, but I found out I was pretty good at sealing, well, the basics anyway, so I created my own fighting style with it," she said as she set the last scroll on the counter with some ink. "That's impressive. Maybe I'll be able to see it in action one day," Naruto said as he sealed the smaller scrolls and ink into the larger one and strapped that one to his back. He took out his gamachan and took out the appropriate amount of money. Tintin raised her eyebrow yet again. "Didn't you say you wanted sword maintenance stuff?" "Yes, but then I realized something. You could place a seal on the sheath to maintain the sword, or even place seal on the sword itself," he explained, but was surprised when she was in his face almost instantly. "Wow, is that really possible? I would have never thought of that. Can I see you sword?" she asked out of the blue. Naruto looked at her bewildered but nodded slowly. Sure." He barely got the words out before his sword was in her hands. She was examining with eyes of a hawk. She checked everything on it twice. "How much do you want for it?" she asked with a serious face. Naruto was flabbergasted. What? "It's not for sale," he said as he snatched the sword back. She pouted. "Mao, it's such a masterpiece. Do you even know how to use such a work of art?" she said hotly. "Yes, I do in fact," he yelled back. While not entirely true, he had his clones read the book by Mihawk back and forth countless times. He even had them go through some of the motions, so he could have some experience in using the sword techniques. Tintin smirked. "Oh yeah? Prove it," she said as she walked to the back room. Naruto followed her, and when he entered he saw a small training area. Why they had this in the back of a store? He didn't know if he had to guess. It was probably for trying out new kunai or shuriken. She pointed to a dummy at the end of the room. "Show me what you got," she said as she crossed her arms. Naruto sighed as he drew his blade. What happened next had Tennin's jaw on the ground in shock. The way Naruto moved around the dummy with such precision was astounding. Sure, he was a little rough here and there, but it was very good for a beginner. He stopped and walked back over to Tintin and slowly sheathed his katana. "How was that?" he asked. Tintin had stars in her eyes. "That was amazing," she exclaimed out. He simply smiled and nodded. "Well, this was fun, and I have to get a training, so I'll see you around. Thanks for the service," he said as he began to walk out of the back room. "Oh, and sorry for the dummy." Tintin looked at the door with confusion. What did he mean dash? She stopped when she heard splintering wood. She turned her head towards the dummy and saw as lines slowly appeared on the dummy's appendages. The dummy fell apart completely into multiple pieces. "Well, what are these?" she heard from the other room. Forgetting the scene in front of her for the moment, she went to go see what he was talking about. He was pointing to a stack of small slips of paper on the counter by the register. "Those are chakra paper. It shows you your nature affinity." She saw as I gain a glint in them. "How does it work?" "You take the paper and channel chakra into it. If it crumples, that is lightning. If it cuts, that is wind. If it crumbles to dust, then it is earth. If it gets soggy, that is water. And if it turns to ash, that is fire," she explained as she picked up a slip and channeled chakra into it, and it crumbled to dust. "See? I have an earth affinity." Naruto absorbed the information. "I see. How much for one?" he asked. 40 Ryo, she said, and she accepted the money as Naruto took a slip of paper. Naruto channeled chakra into the paper, and something peculiar happened. The paper cut down the middle, but the two halves then did something as well. The right side crumbled into a fine dust, and the left side crumbled a bit. "Well, 3 affinities?" Sensei told me that those are rare. Congrats, Tintin said with a smile. He looked dumbfounded but smiled back. Thanks. Well, I really need to go now. See ya, he said as he ran out of the weapons shop. What a strange guy. He's going to be strong if he keeps up that sword training, she said as she went back to thinking about what he did to the dummy. With Naruto, hey, do you know why I have 3 affinities? He mentally asked the beast sealed inside of him as he walked down the street. He ignored the glares and focused on his tenet. It is because of those devil fruits you ate. The Gura Gura Nomi gave you an outstanding control over the earth element, and the Op Op Nomi gave you a small affinity for the lightning. Wind was your natural affinity. The QB grumbled out, upset that its nap was interrupted. Naruto nodded and internalized the information and wasn't looking where he was going and bumped into someone. The person landed with an oomph and glared up to Naruto. Naruto, baka! Naruto looked down to see a platinum blonde young lady wearing a lot of purple. Her light blue eyes glaring up at him. Sorry, Yamanaka-san. I wasn't looking where I was going, he said as he reached his hand down to help her up. She huffed, but accepted the hand anyway. She looked him over once. What's up with you? You don't call anyone by their last name, and certainly use formalities, she said. Naruto blinked. How would you know? You never interacted with me besides by putting me down with Sakura and the others in the Sasuke fan club, he retorted. She glared at him. I noticed things too. You used to wear orange all the time. You were a loud mouth, and you're the dead last. She smirked at him, but was shocked when she didn't get a rise out of him. Naruto shook his head. Seems you don't notice enough, Yamanaka-san. Have a good rest of your day, he said as he walked away, threw a wave over his shoulder. What is wrong with him? He's so calm now? Ino wondered briefly before heading off to meet with her team. Asuma-sensei said he had a big announcement. Next chapter, the Chunin exams start. Chunin exams. Room! Naruto yelled out as he panted. He was in a clearing, training himself for what was to come. Kakashi had just assembled the team for a meeting and told them he had entered them into the Chunin exams. While on the outside, he was indifferent. On the inside, he was very intrigued and confused. Why would Kakashi send them in when they had been genin for only a couple of months? He didn't think they had that much experience, but Kakashi is the leader, so what he says goes. They had only been a few missions after their mission to the wave, and they weren't as dangerous. Mainly some transport missions, and they had to be bodyguards, but no action on the missions besides the occasional bandits. He continued to go through his taijutsu katas while maintaining his room. Training with Gai Sensei and Rock Lee had really helped him physically, and he could maintain a 55-yard in diameter room with little problems. He had been out here training for 3 hours straight. He had to dodge a volley of shuriken that came from the treeline. He sighed as he knew his personal training was over as his new partner came out of the trees. She was a young woman with fair skin. She had brown hair, done up in a buns with a little fringe hanging over her forehead protector, and she had brown eyes. She was wearing a pink sleeveless, cheap house-style blouse with dark green pants and blue ninja sandals. This was Tintin, his training partner. He trained with her for a couple weeks. Their first meeting was amusing as she was shocked that he was going to be training with her after his demonstration in the store. She was literally shocked to get her out of her stupor and started to fuss over Naruto. They had trained in weapons trying to expand on both of their arsenals. Tintin had shared her dream of being a great kunoichi to the likes of Tsunade, and to show that not all female ninja were weak or feeble. Naruto, in turn, told her his dream to be Hokage. I see you're keeping sharp, huh, Naruto? Tintin said with a smile, while twirling a kunai around her finger. Naruto rolled his eyes and continued to go through his motions while Tintin sat and watched. After a couple of minutes, Tintin decided to speak up. So why are you training so long on your taijutsu? You are usually on your sword techniques. Naruto looked in her direction with a small smile. If I didn't know any better, I would think that you were just here to steal my sword style. He teased as she gained an embarrassed blush, but shook her head to glare at him. Not funny. It is, but to answer your question, Niji stopped by. He's usually an ass, but he helped me a bit with my form, I think. I want to give him a good spar sometime to repay him for his help and maybe knock some sense into his head. He explained. Tintin shook her head again. Well, that will pretty tough. Niji is prodigy and the rookie of the year of our class. He is really amazing with his family's taijutsu. He's almost unstoppable," she said dreamily as she talked about her pale-eyed teammate. "Wow, thanks for the confidence in me." Naruto deadpanned before he walked over to a tree and picked up his sword. "But every shinobi has their weakness. Are you sure you aren't fangirling over your crush?" Naruto finished with a smirk, and he felt the temperature drop a few degrees, and it seemed as if the weather and suddenly changed as dark storm clouds gathered above them. "What did you say? You dare compare me to those damn excuses of Kunoichi?" she yelled out as she charged at him with her kunai now in a reverse grip. There was a clang of metal, and her kunai was now battling for supremacy against his now drawn sword. This is usually how their sparring starts nowadays. Naruto, being naturally stronger than Tenten, started to push her back, to which she smirked. She slipped out another kunai and slashed at him. Naruto dodged, but that's what she wanted, as she could now use this to push back as he had stopped pushing. She gave a mighty push with her kunai, knocking him back a bit, and sent both of her kunai flying along with a volley of shuriken. Naruto, seeing the imminent danger coming towards him, decided to switch with a nearby log. Tenten's eyes widened when Naruto vanished and a log was impaled instead of him. "Are you sure you want to do this, Tenten?" Naruto said on the other side of the field. She pulled out a small scroll and smirked. "Yes. You must learn your lesson when you insult a lady and a kunoichi at that." She unrolled her scroll and swung it across her body, so the kanji for her seal faced Naruto. Tenten had a unique style of fighting which was essentially spamming ninja tools at her opponent and keeping them on the run before she moves in with a blade like her kunai or tanto for the kill. Her style works with her teammates, as Rock Lee or Niji could move in behind the enemy to disable them. Alone, her style wasn't as effective if her opponent had a lot of stamina or more speed than her. Even a ninjutsu specialist of any element could be a bad matchup. Naruto tried to make her understand, but she wouldn't listen. He wanted to make his point today. He sighed as he dodged the volley of 100 shuriken. She pulled out another scroll and swung it out like the first, and this time spears with multiple blades came towards him, and he dodged again. This went on for about an hour, as Tenten had a multitude of weapons stored in her scrolls. Naruto had some trouble as she had grown clever in the last couple sessions, as she started to attach some ninja wire to her weapons to control them after Naruto had thought he was clear. Tenen was starting to get tired. "Why won't you stay still and let me hit you?" she said irritably. "I'm trying to teach you something," he said as stopped dodging her. Tenten seeing her chance rushed at Naruto. He has got to be tired after moving so much. She retrieved a kunai from her pouch. She rushed to strike at his neck, but was stopped by his blade. She was getting back more than when they first clashed. "What the hell? How are you not tired?" she yelled out. "Training with Guy and Lee really helped me out," he said nonchalantly. "You do understand you can't beat me right now." Tenten's eyes narrowed dangerously. "You looking down on me because I'm a girl?" she snarled as she tried to push him back, but to no avail. Naruto shook his head. "No, I'm not looking down on you. I just want you to learn that fighting as you do now against ninjutsu specialist or someone with more stamina or speed, then you will end up getting you killed." Tenten gritted her teeth and tears gathered at the edges of her eyes. "What else am I supposed to do, Naruto? I don't have a clan or a sensei to teach me ninjutsu or genjutsu. My taijutsu is above average, but nowhere near the level of Lee and Niji. I know a little fuinjutsu, but even that was hard and self-taught. The thing I'm the best at, bukijutsu, isn't effective apparently. I failed at medical ninjutsu, so I can't even emulate my hero, Tsunade. What am I supposed to? Stop being a kunoichi?" she yelled out as she pushed everything she had against Naruto, who sheathed his sword unexpectedly, and she fell into Naruto's embrace. "I never meant to offend you, Tenten." He started softly. "I just don't want you to fall in battle, because you weren't as effective as you could have been. If you want to learn some ninjutsu, I will help you. I can even help you further your sealing prowess too. And who says you can't become like Tsunade? Just because you failed once does not mean you should stop trying. Do you think Tsunade became a great medic overnight? No, it takes blood, sweat, and tears." He looked down at her and saw the tears in her eyes. Well, you already have the tears down. He chuckled as he wiped the tears away as she giggled a bit. All I wanted to say is maybe you should get diverse in your skill set. You'll help me? She muttered. Naruto smiled, yes. I don't know many jutsu, but I have scrolls on elemental manipulations for the 5 basic elements. I also have some Fuinjutsu books in my house, but you could get some at the store as well. While I'm not a medic nin, I can be some help in learning about the body and how it functions. I can even perform some surgeries if you need help with that. Tenten smiled. I will accept Iper advice, and I'll hold you to your word of training me. How low have I fallen to ask a fresh genin for training? She asked herself dramatically, but then she blinked as she realized something. How can you do surgeries? Your chakra control is abysmal at best, and you have to be pretty good at medic ninjutsu to be able to perform the chakra scalpel. Tenten asked with narrowed eyes. Naruto sighed. Can you keep a secret? He asked, to which Tenten nodded. I ate a fruit that allows me to perform impossible operations. I'm the operation man. He explained, and she looked at him with a deadpan expression. Really? Nice prank, Naruto. I thought you said you didn't do that anymore. She said as she glared at him. I'm not lying. I ate a fruit that gave me freaky powers. He tried to convince her, but she wasn't buying it. He sighed as held out his hand. Room. He said as blue ring expanded from the middle of the clearing until it went roughly 50 yards around them. What is that? Tenten asked as she saw the ring. This is my room. It's one of the abilities that was given to me by the fruit. I control everything within this circle. Naruto explained. He flicked his finger up as multiple spikes of earth came out of the ground. He unsheathed his sword and swung it somewhat sloppily in the air. What are you doing, Naruto? There was no form in his strokes. He looked like a fresh novice, which she knew he wasn't. She was surprised when she saw the earth chunks cut into pieces and were levitating. What's going on? She stuttered out. I told you, I control everything here. If I wanted to, I could remove someone's heart while keeping them alive. The fruit I ate almost made me the perfect doctor. Of course, I still need medical knowledge, but it's still a very useful ability. Naruto explained a bit. Why show and tell me this? If we see you in the exams, then we know your ability and can beat you. She stated. He smiled over to her. I believe you will keep this a secret. Besides, no disrespect to you or your team, but I doubt you could do anything to stop me. She narrowed her eyes. Is that an insult? Think of it as a challenge. He smiled at her cheekily. Now let's talk about a training schedule. We will start training after the Chunin exams. Tenten nodded. Naruto was currently jumping through the forest of death. The second part of the exam had started only a few hours ago, before they were ambushed. Naruto had been separated from the group after someone had used a wind jutsu and blown him away. He was then confronted by a huge snake that tried to eat him. He had been swallowed, but he opened a room and sliced the snake open. He walked out of the snake and took off to find his teammates. Where the hell are those two? I'm sure I was blown back from this direction. Naruto mumbled to himself. He stopped when he sensed a very large chakra, too large to be any genins. He took off with double the speed towards the chakra, but as he got closer and closer, an ominous feeling kept creeping over him. This is just like at the bridge with Zabuza. He quickly shrugged off the feeling as he landed on a branch above a clearing where he saw his teammates, facing off a single grass nin. That guy, he isn't normal. He has way too much chakra for a regular genin, and it feels so dark and twisted. Naruto assessed in his head while not revealing himself yet. Kakuku, such fear in your eyes, Sasuke-kun. Where is that Uchiha power? The mystery genin chuckled darkly. Sasuke gritted his teeth at the shot to his Uchiha pride. He wanted to retort, but even his Sharingan couldn't keep up with this guy. I am outmatched, but if I give him the scroll, I can live and get stronger and beat this clown and Itachi. He pulled out their scroll and held it in front of him. If I give you this scroll, you'll leave us be, he said as he tossed the scroll over to the nin. What an idiot. He didn't even guarantee their safety. Naruto thought as he saw the genin catch the scroll and slowly burn it with a fire manipulation and rushes towards Sasuke and engages him in taijutsu. Might as well reveal myself before this idiot gets himself killed, he said as he jumped down from the tree branch and lands whilst catching Sasuke from impacting against a tree. Sasuke looks at his savior and saw Naruto Uzumaki, the dead last, saving him. The dope saving me, an Uchiha. His mind just couldn't process the information. Looks like you could use some help, Naruto said as he put the Uchiha down and stared at the ninja across from them as Sakura ran over to check on her Sasuke-kun. Naruto, that is no genin. His chakra is too high for that. It is almost Kage level. Be careful. His tenant warned. T-Sich, whatever. I didn't need any help, though, Sasuke said as he shrugged off the doting Sakura and stood up. The genin just smirked. I thought that my summon would have killed you, or at least kept you busy while I tested out Sasuke-kun for a while more. Yeah, that overgrown worm wasn't much of a problem. However, you are a different story. Your chakra is too large to be a genin, so who are you really? Naruto asked. Kikuku, should you really be one to talk? With your burden, and those Uzumaki genes and your reserves are almost as high as seasoned jounin, he said slyly as Naruto's eyes narrowed. But your deduction skills impress me, especially for the class dead last. Who knew you were a censor? Cuckoo. Naruto was now on edge. This person had more information than a genin from a foreign village should have. How does he know about Kurama and placement in the class? And nobody even knows about the Uzumaki clan nowadays. Who is this guy? Sasuke had enough of being ignored and charged forward, looking to put this commoner in his place. The commoner smirked at the challenge and dodged all the strikes Sasuke sent out. Sasuke sent a punch towards his face, but he parried and stuck out his own fist with lightning speed. Sasuke's eyes predicted the hot, yet couldn't do anything about it. It's just like with the weird bowl cut guy earlier. I can see the hot, but I can't stop them. You disappointed me, Sasuke-kun. I would think you'd be better than this. Sasuke flipped through some hand seals that ends with tiger. Fire release. Great fireball jutsu. Sasuke yelled out as he spewed flames from his mouth that barreled towards the enemy and engulfed him in the fire. The genin moved out of the flame and looked down to see Sasuke gone and instead right in front of him. Sasuke kneed him in the face and his body went against his wishes and turned near horizontal, and gravity took its toll as he began to fall head first to the ground. Sasuke took this opportunity to wrap up the genin's legs with his arms and lock his head in place with his feet and pile-drived him into the ground. The genin's head was shoved violently into the ground with his body falling limp onto the ground as Sasuke jumped away. Kya! Sasuke-kun, you were amazing! Sakura squealed out as she rushed over to her crush and started to fawn over him while he smirked. Naruto, however, was not relaxing. He was tense, waiting for something to happen. That guy's chakra just got cut in half. That means he is planning something big. Just as he finished his thought, the ground behind Sasuke and Sakura broke open, and the nin's head came out and slithered over to Sasuke and sunk his teeth into the youth's neck. Ah! The Uchiha yelled out in pain as he went to grab his neck as the nin's neck and head retreated as soon as Naruto slashed at him with his sword. What did you do to him? Sakura yelled out as she looked over Sasuke, who had fallen down from the pain. I gave him a gift, he looked down to Sasuke. You'll come to me for more power than the seal offers, he said as he went to retreat, but was forced to dodge when a sword went flying above his head. I may hold no love for the Uchiha, but I can't pass the exams without him, so you're going to heal him now. Naruto growled out. Kukuku. A brat like you thinks he can order me around? Who do you think I am? I would say a coward for hiding your true identity behind that mask. I don't like you, but for appearances I will give you my name. You know me as Orochimaru of the Sannin, he said as he ripped the right side of his face to show a sickly pale gray complexion with a yellow eye and purple eye makeup. Naruto's eyes widened at the name. Orochimaru chuckled as he dashed off into the forest. Sasuke grunted in pain one last time as he collapsed into unconsciousness, making Sakura cry out for his safety. Naruto sighed as he felt a headache coming on. He went behind Sakura and chopped her neck to send her to sleep. He looked around for some kind of shelter. Anything he made would have stuck out like a sore thumb. He saw a tree that looked to be hollowed out. He created a shadow clone and picked up his teammates to take shelter in the hollow tree base. He created a clone and hinged it into a rock to keep watch while he went to get some water. Sasuke suddenly got a fever. When Naruto went to look at the bite, He didn't expect to a seal consisting of 3 tomos. He figured that was the cause of the fever. Naruto took to the trees, trying to find a river or water source. He heard a scream and rolled his eyes as he went towards the sound. Cursed the hero within him. He landed on a tree branch to see a redhead girl with glasses getting attacked by a huge bear. He leapt down as the bear went to bite at her. She moved out of the way and ran, but tripped over a branch and fell as her glasses came off her face. She waited for her life to be over and a claw or teeth to pierce her skin, but was surprised when nothing came. She looked and saw a figure on top of the bear. He was a bit blurry, and then she remembered her glasses fell off her face. She reached over and put her glasses onto her face, and her vision started to clear up. She saw a young blonde with a black hoodie with orange trim on top of the bear. She looked down to the bear and saw that it was much calmer than before and looked tamed. So you got an Earth Scroll too? The boy stated as he looked at what the girl was clutching in her hands. You should probably get out of the forest before something else comes along. If I recall right, you can't finish this test without your teammates, he said as he took off to leave. Wait, she called out as Naruto stopped and looked back to her. What's your name? She asked with a blush. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. He answered with a small smile. A look of shock appeared on her face. Uzumaki? But Mama said they were all wiped out, and he doesn't have red hair. She noticed Naruto looking at her expectantly. I'm sorry. What did you say? I asked your name. Oh, Karen. Uzumaki. She noticed Naruto's eyes widen a bit. You're from the Uzumaki clan? He asked. Karen nodded. Have you been to the land of whirlpools? She shook her head. You should go sometime. It has a lot of our clan's history there. He suggested as he started to walk off. Land of whirlpools, huh? She thought as she watched him walk away. Naruto had finally found a river and took out a canteen of water and filled it all the way up. He put it into a scroll and sealed it. He flipped through some hand seals and slammed his hand onto the ground. There was a plume of smoke, and out came Jan with a vest that said Kuma on the back and a necklace with a charm that looked like a hammer with a lightning bolt behind it. Hey Naruto, you summoned me twice in a row without food. Jan shouted out. I'm sorry, January. I needed you to talk to that bear, so I wouldn't have to attack it. I summoned you now, so we could catch some fish together, he said as he pointed to the river. Jan's eyes grew wide before she bounded over to the river and started to bite at the fish that jumped above the water. He smiled at the young cub and went over next to her and started to grab at the fish. That was a mistake as the fish were too slippery and wriggled from his grasp. Jan laughed. No, you need stab them with your teeth or claws. Well, sorry, I don't have claws or sharp teeth, so I'll use my kunai. Okay, he asked as she nodded and went back to fishing happily. Naruto threw his kunai to impale any fish jumping out of the water and pinned them to the trees or the ground. He collected 10 of the fishes and gave 4 of them to Jan, who caught 3 by herself. Thanks, Naruto. These are delicious. No problem, January. Anything for my partner, he said as he used a small fire jutsu to cook one of his fish, but had to avoid a flurry of swipes from the young cub. What the heck, Jan? Naruto exclaimed as he held the struggling cub at arm's reach. You don't cook it, you just eat it raw. It's better that way, Jan exclaimed as she kept trying to paw at Naruto's face. Jan, I can't eat it raw like you, so stop trying to claw my face off, he said as he kept dodging her paws. She stopped in favor of pouting. Fine, but don't go cooking my fish, Naruto, she said as she turned her head and huffed. Naruto sighed and smiled. Fine. I won't cook your fish, January, he said, but he stopped and looked into the forest. Jan tilted her head. What's wrong, Naruto? Someone just walked onto my team's location. Apparently, Sakura woke up and tried to protect Sasuke, but 3-on-1 aren't great odds. Well, go help her, Jan yelled out as she and her fish disappeared a plume of smoke. Naruto stood there weighing the pros and cons of saving his teammates and ultimately came to the choice of saving them as he needed to pass this stage of the exams. He took off towards the clearing. Hey, it's been a minute. I didn't write the first part of the exams because I just wasn't feeling that part. I also added in the part with Tintin because I hate fighting her on any of the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games. All she does is spam her ninja tools, and her ultimate technique is stupid. So, I think I have decided on who gets what devil fruits. I'll let you know within the chapters, though. Please review. Chapter 8. Naruto was hopping briskly among the trees. He was just minutes from the clearing, but he felt more chakra signatures than his clone saw. Who else is there? I can feel Tintin, so I assume her team is there, but who are the other 6? He asked himself. Naruto landed on a tree branch above the clearing to see 3 sound shinobi, Team 8, Team 9, and Team 10, and a beat-up Sakura and Rock Lee. Does it really take all these guys to take down 3 genin? He thought with a deadpan. He held out his left hand. Room. He muttered as a blue circle surrounded the clearing without anyone's notice. He jumped down in between the sound shinobi and his comrades. Ugh! They keep appearing like cockroaches, one of the boys said. The whole sound group were dressed with some purple camo somewhere on their person. You attack my teammates. Please surrender and leave. Naruto said. The 3 just looked at each other before laughing. Ha! That's rich. Listen, get out of the way so we can kill the Uchiha, and then we will be on our way. The one whose face was covered in bandages said. Naruto just shook his head. I can't allow you to do that. I need him alive to pass this exam. Maybe after all this is done you can handle whatever beef you have with Sasuke. Dosu, let's just kill this runt and carry on with mission. Zaku yelled out. Dosa nodded. Fine, do what you want. I'll handle the rest. He said as he looked towards the rest of the Konoha genin. Zaku smirked. It'll be over in a second. This battle was decided before I even showed myself. It's over. Naruto said. What's with Naruto? He's been acting different lately. Shikamaru thought to himself as he eyed the blonde. You could both take me on, and you would still fall to my blade. Naruto continued. That arrogance. I am unbeatable. Zaku exclaimed as he thrust his arms in front of him with palms facing Naruto. Decapitating air waves. An invisible force made its way over to Naruto. He dodged out of the way and was going to land. I got you now. Zaku yelled out as he aimed at Naruto and sent another blast at where he was going to land. Naruto! Tintin yelled out as she saw him take the hit, or so she thought. When the smoke cleared, they expected to see an unconscious Naruto, but instead, they saw the knocked-out kin with her clothes in tatters from the blast. What the hell? I thought Leaf Shinobi weren't ruthless. To replace yourself with an unconscious enemy is pretty low. Dosa called out. We are shinobi. We do what we can to get ahead. There is no honor among thieves. Naruto said from Kin's former position. He looked over to Zaku. Your jutsu named Decapitating Air Waves, was it? He asked. Yeah, what of it? Zaku asked. It is not a fitting name. There's no decapitation in Vovel from what I saw. Let me show you a decapitation, he said as he drew his blade. Naruto swung his blade in a horizontal arc at Zaku's direction. Many were shocked at how he said he would cut someone's head off with such nonchalance. There was no immediate effect, and many thought he had failed, but that changed when Zaku's head started to float as he was laughing. What was that about decapitating me? He laughed out, obviously to his head not being attached to his body anymore. Zaku. Dosu stuttered out. The boy in question craned his neck as he heard his name called. Well, he tried to, but noticed the ground was slightly farther than normal, and he didn't feel the pull of muscles in his neck. He looked down and screamed. Ah, what the hell happened to me? There's no reason to tell you, so let's get this over with. Naruto said as he saw the mummy man throw an explosive kunai at him. He also noticed none of the Leaf Shinobi made a move to attack. Dosu. Probably because it's not their fight. I wouldn't help either. We are technically enemies at the moment. Shambles. He muttered as the speeding kunai was replaced by Zaku's dismembered head. What the hell? Zaku yelled out, not expecting the transportation. There was an explosion, and they turned to where Zaku's body was and saw it was scorched. Ah, that shit burns. What the fuck, Dosu? Zaku yelled out. How did you do that? Dosu yelled out. It matters not. Surrender, or else this guy gets it, he said as he unceremoniously dropped his head and hovered his sword tip above him. Dosa was in a tight spot. He could try his luck and fight, but with his teammates incapacitated, he doubted. Even if he were to defeat the blonde, he could beat the Uchiha. Lord Orochimaru must have seen him as a threat to want him dead, so he had to be strong, but why not this blonde? Dosu slowly nodded his head and placed down his scroll from his kunai pouch and placed it on the ground. All right, I'll go, just let me and my teammates leave. Naruto nodded and sheathed his sword. He then kicked Saku's head over to the retreating Nin. Back! You bastard! Zaku yelled out. That shit gave him the worst headache. Dosa gathered his teammate's head and connected to his body, hoping that it would be put back into place. His hopes were answered as his head reattached without a problem. Can you walk, Zaku? I got hit with an explosion, you dick. What do you think? Dosa sighed. This is going to be a pain. He groaned as he hefted his teammate onto his shoulder and walked over to Kin and put her on his back and buckled under the extra weight. He glanced back over the Uchiha and then to the blonde. He then turned around and took off into the trees. Naruto turned to address the rest of the Leaf Nin, but was forced to stop as a dark, oppressive force beared down on everyone. They all turned their sights towards the hollowed-out tree and saw Sasuke staggering out with strange black flame-like marking across the left side of his face. Purple chakra swirled him, making it look even more haunting than it already was. Sasuke looked down at his hands and clenched them into a fist, then smirked. Yes, with this power, I'll be able to kill him. He looked around the clearing to see his fellow Leaf Nin, but his eyes lingered on the battered form of Sakura. Sakura, who did that to you? He asked calmly. As some sound ninja, but Naruto took care of them, and they left. She stuttered out. She felt sick being affected by his dark chakra. Sasuke's eyes drifted over to Naruto. The doe beat them. He whispered to himself, Naruto, fight me. You'll be the perfect test to my new power. Naruto just sighed. He seemed to be doing that a lot lately. I'm not going to fight you. We have to finish the exams. Come on, Dash. He didn't get the chance to finish as he had to block a fist from the Uchiha. They both jumped away from each other. Naruto looked at Sasuke with an annoyed expression. Quit it, you team. We have work to do. He then turned towards the rest of the group, who looked shaken in fear. Well, what the hell is wrong with you people? Get a hold of yourselves. He kept dodging strikes from the power-crazed Uchiha. Naruto grew very irritated at the boy's attempts to fight. A white orb surrounded his hand and reared it back. I said stop, he yelled as he swung at the black-haired boy. The initial contact made the Uchiha scoff. I said I wanted to fight, not to slap or rude dash. He was cut off when heard cracking and looked down to his teammate's fist and saw that there were cracks in his body. His body was then racked with pain as he felt like his ribs were shattered. He spat out a glob of blood and was rocketed away from Naruto and the others. He came to a slow and stopped rolling. He was breathing haggardly, and the seal had receded. What was that? Was the proclamation of most of the Konoha 11 besides Shino, Shikamaru, and Neji. Those three were surprised, but they showed it with widening eyes, or in Shikamaru's case a gaze towards the blonde swordsman. Not really the time to explain my abilities to my enemies. Naruto said evenly. Kiba growled. You bastard. We came and saved your team's sorry ass. He yelled out with Ino agreeing. I am grateful to you guys for helping my team, but as of now, we are enemies. After the Chunin exams, I would be more than glad to explain what just happened. Naruto said as he walked over to the duo of Sakura and Sasuke. Sakura had ran over after getting over her initial shock. She had to check on Sasuke. All the teams had decided to leave, but Tenten decided to linger around, looking at Naruto's back. He seemed to feel her gaze and turned to face her. We're still on for training after this, right? Tenten asked with a smile. Naruto allowed a small smile to grace his face and nodded. Yeah, let's make it to the next round, Tenten. He said as he turned back around and walked away. Tenten nodded with a determined look on her face and took to the trees after her team. Naruto walked over to his teammates and sighed. He really didn't want to carry them, and he wouldn't have to if that snake freak didn't ambush the team. He would bear this burden until Sasuke was well enough to help shoulder it too. They had reached the tower in finally 4 days. Naruto had stopped to wait until his teammates woke up. A couple of teams tracked them down and tried to take their scroll, but were sent back by Naruto. Many to this day wondered why there were so many earthquakes in such a small period of time. The 18 genin now stood upon a balcony, looking down on an arena with their sensei. In the arena stood Sasuke Uchiha and a fellow Leaf genin by the name of Yoroyakado. Upon reaching the tower, they were addressed by the Hokage himself, who expressed his pleasure at seeing all of the genin who passed. It turns out that there were too many genin in fact, and the number needed to be cut down a bit. A leaf jounin, Hayato Gecko, came down and explained that they would be having preliminary matches to decide who gets to fight when the feudal lords and other VIPs came in a month for the Chunin exams finals. After asking for any dropouts and receiving one from Kabuto, they got their first match and asked everyone but the fighters to leave the balcony, which led to the fight below. Now, usually Sasuke could wipe the floor with just about anyone, but it was a little difficult with the seal on his neck. Kakashi had told him to not use his jutsu because it feeds off chakra, and he would interfere with the match if it came down to that. This is going to be more difficult than I thought. Sasuke thought as he looked at the person before him. He was sure that the boy was smirking under that mask. Someone looking down on him, and Uchiha. Preposterous. Naruto watched as the Uchiha rushed towards his opponent and engaged in a taijutsu bout. He knew Sasuke was limited at best with ninjutsu, but he wasn't Rookie of the Year for nothing. He had more than ninjutsu to work with, but Naruto also noticed that the Akado's hands were glowing blue. Why is he sending chakra to his hands? He thought. Would it increase his punch's power? No, that can't be it. He has hit Sasuke, and he didn't even wince. It has to be something. Kakashi took his eye from the match to his blonde student. Naruto looks to be deep in thought. Hope he doesn't hurt himself. He thought with an eye smile. Sasuke was having a tougher time with this guy than he intended. He felt his chakra being drained away every time the guy touched him. The usual strategy would be to create some distance and use ninjutsu or jinjutsu, but that wasn't an option with this damn seal on his neck. What do I do? He won't let me get away from this taijutsu bout. It's almost like he knows I can't use chakra. If only I had my Sharingan, I would wipe the floor with this smug bastard. The lapse of thinking was enough for Akado to get into his guard and grab Sasuke and slam him into the ground. He felt his chakra being drained at an exponential rate. Sasuke grit his teeth and kicked Akado his gut and created the room to get to his feet. Damn, he took half of my chakra. I have to end this quickly. You see that it is pointless. Any body part that I touch, I can take your chakra. Akado bragged with a hidden smirk. Sasuke started to think of how hopeless it was looking without his ninjutsu, and Naruto took note of it. Sasuke, you better not tell me that a simple handicap like this will let you lose to this guy. Naruto declared from the balcony. Sasuke glared at the blonde and was going to retort when he looked over to the bowl-haired genin, Rock Lee, and something clicked in his mind. He smirked. Thank you, Naruto. He thought as he ran towards the masked nin. Akado just struck out with his right hand, glowing with chakra again, intending to take more of Sasuke's chakra. He was caught off guard when the boy disappeared and reappeared inside of his guard. He wasn't prepared to get kicked into the air. He saw the boy appear before him and try to kick him in the gut and put his forearm out to block, but wasn't ready for the impressive display of skill for Sasuke to turn his body in the air and strike him in his chest with his fist. As they began their descent down to the hard concrete, Sasuke added another punch to Akado's chest before turning his body and raising his leg. Last one, Lion's Barrage. Sasuke's leg smashed into his opponent's body right before he connected to the ground and slid back away. He saw that the genin wasn't going to move anymore and smirked. That'll show you to underestimate the Uchiha, he declared, but soon fell to one knee and clutched his left shoulder as sweat ran down his forehead. Kakashi appeared behind him and placed his hand on his right shoulder and disappeared just as quickly. Winner by knockout, Sasuke Uchiha. Hade announced. That was the shadow of the dancing leaf. He copied my technique in a matter of days with just one viewing of it. Sasuke Uchiha, you truly are a genius. Rock Lee thought with a frown, but respect for his fellow genin. Might Guy frowned at the scene that had just played before him. Lee worked his ass off for to perform that technique, but the Uchiha probably copied it when Lee used it on him earlier before the exam. Still be able to use it just from a glance is nothing short of extraordinary. Many praises were given to Sasuke for his victory. Even Naruto had to give some points for beating his opponent with such a handicap. Naruto didn't approve of the way he came to be the victor, but given the circumstances, he would let it slide. The matches progressed through the day. Sakura and Ino battled it out into a draw. It wasn't the best display of skill ever, and many people's reaction supported that fact. Both were knocked out cold and placed on the balcony with their team. Shikamaru had defeated the Kunoichi from the Sound Squad. She used sound to put him under Jinjutsu, but failed to realize she was falling into Shikamaru's trap. He forced her to forfeit or become a pin cushion. Naruto Uzumaki and Kiba Inuzuka, please come down. Oh, we get to have some payback for what you said in the forest, right, Akamaru? Kiba exclaimed as he jumped down from the balcony with his dog companion tucked in jacket. Naruto walked down the stairs slowly and met Kiba in the middle with the proctor standing between them. The match between Uzumaki Naruto and Kiba Inuzuka will now begin. Hate declared as he jumped to the sidelines. The two combatants just stood there before Kiba broke the silence between them. You know it is hopeless, Naruto. You were the dead last, and you only made it this far because of Sasuke and Sakura. Just give up and go home already. You couldn't beat those 3 sound shinobi with 10-3 odds. Don't talk to me about luck, dog boy. Naruto replied. You bastard. Kiba yelled as he charged into engage in a taijutsu bout. He went for a right downward claw swipe, and Naruto ducked under his arm before he retaliated with a quick jab to the midsection. Kiba then remembered what happened to Sasuke earlier and swiftly dodged. I have to stay away, or I'm going to end up like Sasuke. You're probably thinking that you have to stay away from my fist, but that doesn't really solve your problems. Naruto spoke as he drew his sword. If you can't get past my blade, then you cannot win. Naruto said as he started to walk towards Kiba slowly. Kiba growled and made the ram hand seal, ninpo, for legs technique. Kiba yelled as his chakra flared, and he bent down and started to stand much like a cord-ripped animal. His teeth and fingernails grew longer and sharper that they looked like fangs and claws respectively. His eyes turned into animalistic slits, making his already feral appearance more feral. Here I go, Kiba declared as he took off faster than before and on all fours. He leapt into the air and curled into a ball, intent in hurling into Naruto. I don't really want to kill him, so I can slice him with my sword. I also don't want to be put on the defensive. Naruto just placed his sword in its scabbard and placed one hand on the handle and the other on the scabbard and bent his knees. That stance, where did he learn to draw that sword for the Aido style? Hiruzen thought as he racked his mind to think of who could have taught the boy such a technique. Once Kiba got within 5 meters, Naruto made his move. Quicker than most of the genin could comprehend, Naruto was behind Kiba with his sword drawn with drops of blood dripping from the edge. He stood up straight and spun his sword whilst flicked off the blood and put his blade back in the scabbard. At the sound of his sword being returned to its rightful place, a thin spray of blood shot from Kiba's chest from a large wound that went from his right hip up to his left shoulder. He fell to his knees while holding his chest wound to attempt to stop the bleeding. How? How did the dead last get this strong so fast? Kiba growled mentally. That isn't enough to kill you, but it will if you don't get it treated soon. Naruto said, I'm not leaving here until you are on the ground before me. Akamaru, Kiba called to his partner. The small dog scampered over the brown-haired boy, who took a small pill from his pouch and fed it to the dog. Naruto felt Akamaru's chakra jump a bit and saw that he was engulfed in a puff of smoke, and out came an exact copy of Kiba with all his injuries as well. Kiba took a smoke pellet from his pouch as well and dropped it in between Naruto and himself. A smoke cloud enveloped trio of fighters, and everyone waited with bated breath. Fong over Fong, they heard Kiba declare. The spectators saw Kiba and Akamaru plow out of the smoke, spinning very fast, almost like they were a drill. They moved in sync that was only possible through complete trust and many hours of practice. They weaved in and out of the smoke, and many heard the grunts of what they assumed was Naruto being hit. They saw something burst from the smoke and saw that it was Kiba. You know, there are a couple things that you can't hide when you do a transformation, especially one as poor as the one Akamaru did. Naruto said as he had the other Kiba by the hood of his jacket. You still have that gash on your chest, and I could still smell the blood leaking from it. Second, Akamaru can't change his bone structure with the transformation skill he has in that jutsu. Naruto explained. Many gained a confused look at the supposed dead last explaining a jutsu and is seeing the dog's bones. Kakashi's black eye narrowed at Naruto's own glowing white eyes. What is that? Naruto doesn't have a dojutsu. Naruto brought out his sword and held it across the throat of the Kiba he had in his hand. Surrender. Fine, I surrender. Just get that sword out of my face. It gives me a bad feeling. Kiba growled out. Naruto complied and sheathed his sword while dropping Kiba on his ass. Winner. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto walked away while the medics rushed to check on Kiba and the gash on his chest. Naruto clutched his eyes as they throbbed in pain. At least it doesn't hurt as much as last time. Maybe we'll get to the point that I barely feel pain when I use it. Naruto thought as he stood next to his sensei. That was an impressive win, Naruto. Good job. Kakashi commented while glancing at the blonde from his usual orange book. Thanks, Naruto said while looking at the board. The next names called were Temari of the Sand and Tintin of the Leaf. Can I ask about your eyes at the end of the match? What about them? Naruto responded without missing a beat. You don't have a dojutsu, but your eyes were glowing a bright white. Care to explain? I don't know what you mean, sensei. My eyes felt normal the whole match. Kakashi just in thought and let the topic drop, no need in pushing it. The match between Tintin and Temari was somewhat one-sided. Tintin threw a barrage of ninja weapons from a scroll, but Temari was an adept wind user and could just blow away the weapons before they touched her. Even bringing out her best two scrolls and using the rising twin dragons did nothing to the Kunoichi from the hidden sand village. Many saw that this was a hopeless cause, but Naruto saw it as a learning experience for Tintin. The match was decided when Temari sent multiple blades of wind at Tintin. She dodged a few, but some hit her as well. Temari decided to end it by blasting Tintin up into the air with a tornado and setting down her battle fan to where Tintin would land on her backside, possibly breaking her spine and ending her shinobi career. Before Tintin could hit the fan, Naruto appeared on top of the fan and caught the battered girl and saving her from a lot of pain. That wasn't very nice. She could have broken her spine and never walked again. Naruto stated, and her jumped off the fan with Tintin in his arms. Pray we don't meet in the next round, he said as he walked over to the medics. He heard Hate call the match as a disqualification on Tintin's part, and Temari was labeled the winner. I am weak, Tintin said as she put an arm over her eyes to hide her tears. Possibly, or it could have just been a bad matchup. Either way, look at this as an opportunity to get better and expand your skills, Naruto said, and he placed her on a stretcher they had prepared for the brunette. We're still training after this, right? Of course. Naruto watched as they took her to the med room, and he turned around after they were out of sight and glared at the blonde Kunoichi on the balcony. He felt someone staring at him and saw the redhead next to her was staring at him with a strange expression on his face. What's his problem? He thought. He looked to the board again, and he saw the next two combatants, Rock Lee and Gaara of the Sand.